Hey everyone, welcome to Oliveboard. In this particular class, we are going to discuss about a lot of questions from your commerce and accounts, right? So इस सेशन से डेफिनेटली आपका कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली काफ़ी सारे टॉपिक्स यहाँ पे कवर हो जाएंगे एंड दीज क्वेश्चंस हैव अ हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ कमिंग इन द एग्जामिनेशन ऑल्सो, राइट? ये सारे प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर को लेके और बहुत सारे दूसरे सोर्सेज को लेके बनाए हुए क्वेश्चन है, तो डेफिनेटली इनकी प्रैक्टिस आपको बहुत ज़रूरी है, राइट? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द डिस्कशन. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन फॉर टुडे इज which of the following is not considered as a basic accounting assumption? So we all know that there are three basic accounting assumptions. Can you tell me which of the following is not considered as a basic accounting assumption here? One of the most repeated question in your examinations. Going concern, consistency, accrual, prudence. So guys, prudence is not a basic accounting assumption, okay? Going concern, consistency, accrual, these three accounting assumptions, these three are the very basic accounting assumption. And what do you mean by basic accounting assumption, guys? What is the meaning of basic accounting assumption here? What do you mean by basic accounting assumption here? What is the meaning of basic accounting assumption? All companies follow it. Okay. Any other opinion? What is the meaning of basic accounting assumption? For easy comparison, it is assumed. Okay. So let's suppose I'm having a look at Rohan's balance sheet and P&L accounts. I will assume that Rohan must be following going concern, consistency, and accrual. So is it a compulsion? No, it's not a compulsion. It's an assumption. I'm assuming that Rohan must be following these three accounting basics. But if he is not following the basics, he need to clearly disclose that fact in the notes to accounts. So if Rohan is not doing the accounting on accrual basis, for example, he is doing the accounting on cash basis. So what I need to do here is, I need to check the notes to accounts. Rohan must have mentioned clearly that I am not following accrual basis, I am following cash basis. Until this explicit statement, unless Rohan is giving the explicit statement, I will assume that he is a going concern, he is consistently applying all the policies, as well as he is following the accrual concept of accounting, right? So that is the meaning of basic accounting assumption. Now, from some of the students in 2024, this question was there in the interview also, in SEBI Grade A interview also, right? As per which of the accounting concept the journal entries are recorded from the business viewpoint and not from the owner's viewpoint? Money measurement, going concern, revenue recognition, business entity, prudence. A very simple question. So you can expect some of these questions for your phase 1 also. Option D, business entity concept, right? Business entity concept, which states that we record the transactions from the business viewpoint and not from the owner's point of view, right? And what happens because of the business entity concept? Capital becomes a liability. Capital becomes a liability, right? Capital becomes a liability. Acha, can you guys tell me if the P&L account, profit and loss account, is having a credit balance or it is having a debit balance? What is the meaning when the P&L account is having a credit balance? Profit or loss? Profit or loss? P&L account is having credit balance. This is profit or loss? What do you think? There is a credit balance in my P&L account. Is it a profit or a loss? That's a profit. When P&L account is credit, that's a profit. When P&L account is debit, that's a loss, right? So this profitability, where we show this profitability? In the liability side only, right? In the liability side only. And if we talk about loss, we'll later on discuss it. It's a part of schedule 3. Okay. So here business entity concept is the correct choice. Next one, the going concern concept is best defined as what? Option A, Organization has no significant liabilities at the end of the accounting period. Option B, organization is expected to continue its operations in the foreseeable future. Option C, the organization will stop operations immediately after the balance sheet date. Assets must be recorded at the liquidation value. Financial statements are prepared assuming no future business activity. That's self-explanatory, right? It's an examination question only. This came in your SEBI Grade A examination. Option B is the correct choice. The organization is expected to continue the operation in the foreseeable future. That's what the meaning of going concern is, right? We assume that you are going to continue for the foreseeable future. Now, because you are a going concern, that's why we differentiate between non-current asset and current asset. That's why we differentiate between capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. That's why we differentiate between non-current liability and current liability. Why? Because you are continuing the operations of the business forever for the foreseeable future. If we are not intending to continue the operation for even more than 1 year, does it make any sense to classify non-current assets and current assets? No, because I'm going to close down my business in the next 6 months. For example, in that case, I don't have to do the classification of capital expenditure and revenue expenditure because I'm going to close the business within 1 year itself, right? So can you guys tell me, let's suppose I am no more a going concern. For example, I have a business. I am no more a going concern. What will happen in that case? How do I value my assets and liabilities? Can you guys tell me? How do I value my assets and liabilities if one day I come to know that I'm no more a going concern? What will happen in that case? I think, very good, Nancy. Net realizable value will be the apt valuation approach. I can value everything based on the realizable value or the net realizable value. Why? Because maybe my building or furniture is worth 1 lakh rupees, is worth 20,000 rupees. But I can say this is valued at cost. If it is there in the balance sheet, it must be valued at cost. Now, if I'm liquidating each and everything, I'm going to close down each and everything. It is far better that I can value it on realizable value or net realizable value. So that becomes a apt choice, right? When I'm no more a going concern. Next one. How should outstanding rent be classified in the traditional rule of accounting? As per the traditional rule of accounting, how to classify outstanding rent? Nominal, real, personal, either A or B, either A or C. Outstanding rent. That's straight, right? That's my personal account. Why it is a personal account? Because outstanding rent, let's suppose I am a tenant. I'm paying rent to my landlord. So this month I haven't paid the rent to my landlord, right? Let's suppose Sachin is my landlord here. So I haven't paid rent to Sachin. So this outstanding rent account is representing Sachin in my books of accounts. If I write directly Sachin in my balance sheet in the liability side, you guys won't be able to understand it, right? What was the transaction that I did with Sachin? But if I write outstanding rent, it will give me more and more clarity. To any user. Even if anybody is reading my financial statement, they will be, kind of very much clear that, okay, this is a transaction. Sir is paying rent every year and this time the rent is outstanding. So it will be a personal account and it will be a liability for me. Next one. While recording and measuring the transactions in accounting, which category of the transaction is actually taken into consideration? A very simple question related to the process of accounting. Transactions that can be expressed in numerical or monetary terms. Transactions that are descriptive in nature without numerical value. Both numerical and descriptive transactions. As per the personal judgment of the accounting, none of the above. A very simple one directly from the accounting process. अच्छा, अकाउंटिंग प्रोसेस पढ़ते टाइम ये पहला कॉन्सेप्ट होता है जो हम पढ़ते हैं, सबसे पहला कॉन्सेप्ट. Can you tell me the first step? Can you guys tell me the first step of accounting process? What is the first step of accounting process? Yes, it is based on money measurement, but you guys can you guys tell me the first step of accounting process? Recording of what? Nancy, journal is not the first step, it is the second step. It is the second step. Classifying is the third step. What is the first thing that you need to do? Recording of transactions. No, that is also a second step. Identification. Of fin statement. No, not statement. So let's suppose, let me just give you an example. You hired me as a chartered accountant. You guys hired me as a chartered accountant in your business. Is it a financial transaction? No, that's not a financial transaction. The financial transaction will be when you pay me the salary, when you pay me the professional income. Identification of not transactions, but only financial transactions. Identification of not transactions, but only financial transactions. Why only financial transactions? Because of money measurement concept. I can't record those things that are not expressed, that can't be expressed in monetary terms. You hired me as a chartered accountant, so what? When you pay me the salary, you will record that transaction. When you hired me, you won't record this transaction in accounting. That's not required. Right? When you pay me something, then only you are going to record it, because this is a financial transaction. So you can relate it with money measurement concept definitely. At the same time, you need to know that the very first step is identification of financial transaction. If not going concern, then why value at net realizable value only? Okay, sure. In AS 13, we do have fair value for current investments. Okay, sure. What is fair value? Fair value is also somewhere or the other close to market value only, right? So let's suppose, let me just give you an example. I'm not able to read your name. No issues. Let's suppose you are having a balance sheet. You have a fixed asset of 10 lakh rupees at cost. Now you know that you are going to close down your operation in the next 6 months. You are not a going concern. You are closing down the operations in the next 6 months. So what will be the correct choice? Would you still like to classify the fixed asset at cost, or NRV, realizable value, becomes a apt approach? What do you think? You are going to close down your business. Your fixed asset is valued at cost in the balance sheet at 10 lakh rupees after charging depreciation. Maybe you are only able to realize 8 lakh rupees now. So what do you think? Which will be the apt approach? You would like to still continue valuing the fixed asset at cost, or NRV, right? That's why I value the things at realizable value, because it makes more sense, because I am closing down the operation. So it doesn't matter कि मैं उसको cost पे चलाऊं. Why? Because I have an intention of closing down the business, right? But if something is already there at fair value, then no worries at all. वो घूम फिर के उसी वैल्यूएशन पे आ जाएगी. से फॉर एग्जांपल आपने शेयर्स होल्ड कर रखे हैं, एज अ करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट आपने शेयर्स होल्ड कर रखे हैं, सो इसको आप ऑलरेडी फेयर वैल्यू पे चला रहे हो, तो फिर रियल आपको वापस से इसकी नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू इसकी फेयर वैल्यू हो जाएगी घूम फिर के, राइट? इसकी एनआरवी इसकी फेयर वैल्यू हो जाएगी. कुछ कुछ केसेस में एनआरवी और फेयर वैल्यू सेम हो सकते हैं. जैसे मान लो मेरे पास शेयर है रिलायंस इंडस्ट्री का, आई एम एबल टू सेल इट एट 1500 रुपए. यही फेयर वैल्यू है, यही एनआरवी है, राइट? यही फेयर वैल्यू है, यही एनआरवी है. अच्छा, एनआरवी और फेयर वैल्यू में क्या डिफरेंस होता है? कैन एनीबडी टेल मी व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एनआरवी एंड फेयर वैल्यू? Is there any difference, or it will always be the same only? Can I use these terms interchangeably? NRV includes selling or transport cost. Fair value is based on demand and supply. Yes. Fair value is based on market. Realizable value is the amount that I can get when I'll sell it. Okay. Perfect. So let's suppose, for example, let me just give you an example. Share of Reliance Industry 1500. Now that's the fair value. That is the fair value. If I am going to sell it, I need to incur some brokerage also. So let's suppose 100 rupee I need to pay as brokerage. So my net realizable value becomes 1400 in this case, but the fair value is 1500, right? The fair value is 1500 here. So NRV is basically expected selling price minus expected cost of selling. The cost that I need to incur for selling that item. So NRV is an expected price. Fair value is determined on the demand and supply forces, whereas NRV is an expected selling price minus expected cost for selling it. That is the difference. An expectation can be different. Now maybe the fair value for John and for me is the same, 1500. For John and for me is the same fair value. But maybe John has to pay 150 rupee as the brokerage, I have to pay 100 rupee as the brokerage. So can I say that the net realizable value can definitely be different? And please do remember, NRV is an expected selling price minus expected cost of selling that item, whereas fair value is based on demand and supply. That's the difference. That is the difference. Here the correct answer will be option A. We only record the things that can be expressed in monetary terms, and that's what the core accounting says, right? Acha, can you tell me a branch of accounting which is not just recording the monetary values but also the non-monetary values as well, non-monetary items as well, which records the quantitative as well as qualitative aspect of accounting? Yes, that's management accounting. Perfect. That's management accounting. Acha, in commerce and accounts, what do we study? We study financial accounting. Sahi hai? In cost accounting, we study cost accounting. But in the first chapter of cost accounting, we have discussed about the difference of cost accounting, management accounting, and financial accounting. Right? Next one, which of the following is an example of a capital expenditure? First one, inauguration expenses of new unit of an existing business. So it is a new unit. Second one, overhaul of second-hand machinery. Third one, repainting of an old van. Fourth one, carriage expense of repaired parts. E, payment of salaries, wages, and interest. So what do you think will be an example of capital expenditure here? Which one is a capital expenditure here, guys? It will be option B. Overall of second-hand machinery. So this is a kind of capital expenditure. Why? Because it is helping us in creation of a long-term asset. Now, overhauling a second-hand machinery can increase definitely the efficiency or the life of machinery. So that's why it becomes a capital expenditure. That's why it becomes a capital expenditure. Next one. A company issued 10,000 shares at a premium of 10%. The face value of the share is 10 rupees per share. How much amount will be credited to the share premium account, to the securities premium account? A very simple question. And SEBI loves to ask these kind of questions, plus the journal entries related to this question. This is the favorite question of SEBI. They love to play around, securities premium related stuff and the journal entries related to securities premium. So a company has issued 10,000 shares at a premium of 10%. The face value is 10. So the total face value will be 1 lakh rupees. How much premium we are charging? 10%, that means 10,000 rupees. That means 10,000 rupees, right? So my issue price is 11 rupees. My face value is 10 rupee. 1 rupee is the premium per share. Number of shares are 10,000. So option A becomes the correct one. Option A becomes the correct one. Acha Sumesh, first one, inauguration expenses of a new unit of an existing business. This is my existing business. That's why these expenses, let's suppose I am incurring some inauguration expenses, छोटा मोटा कुछ खाना वाना कर रहा हूं, सब लोगों को बुला रहा हूं, राइट? उसी को इनॉग्रेशन बोलते हैं. सो कोई एक एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेस की ही न्यू यूनिट खोल दी, उसके अंदर छोटा मोटा कोई इनॉग्रेशन एक्सपेंस कर रहा हूं. सो दिस विल बी अ रेवेन्यू नेचर एक्सपेंस. दिस विल बी अ रेवेन्यू नेचर एक्सपेंस. So here the correct choice will be, guys, 10,000. This will be 10,000. Can you guys tell me the full form of IASB? Full form of IASB. It's an international body. It stands for International Accounting Standard Board. Okay, it stands for International Accounting Standard Board. Option B. Option B. So it's an independent body which develops and approves the IFRS, right? Which of the following accounting standard relates to the revenue recognition? A very simple one, a very direct one. A very direct question. I don't think you guys will be facing any issue in this one. That is accounting standard 9, right? AS9. Can you also tell me the corresponding Indian accounting standard of AS9? What is the corresponding Indian accounting standard for AS9? Which is even more relevant question for your exam. Ind AS 115. What is the name of Ind AS 115? What is the exact name of Ind AS 115? Revenue from contracts with customer is the right name. Okay, revenue from contracts with customer. Yes, 9 stands for revenue recognition. Ind AS 115, which is the revenue from contracts with customer. Okay, revenue from contracts with customer. Next one, which of the following is included in the cost of the inventory according to the accounting standard 2? Inventory valuation. Now, this is not a question of regulatory body, rather it is a Question from a related exam. Which of the following is included in the cost of inventory according to accounting standard 2? First one, administrative overhead that do not contribute to bringing the inventory to the present location and condition. Storage costs which are necessary in production process prior to further production stage. Selling and distribution costs, duties and taxes paid on purchases subsequently recoverable by the enterprises. Option B, storage cost. Can you give me some examples of storage cost that will be included in the production cost, that will be included in the cost of inventory? Usually we don't include storage cost. Liquor, perfect. Say for example, if I talk about whiskey, if I talk about wine, then we need to store these products. We need to store these products to make it consumable. Right? Yes. So the storage cost here is an essential part of the production process. It is an essential part of the production process. Otherwise, we never include the storage cost. But once it becomes the essential part of the production process, if I don't store wine, the product won't be fit for consumption. So in that case, I need to include the storage cost as well as the cost of inventory. And yes, Rohan, in the option D, if it was a non-recoverable, it was irrecoverable duties and taxes, then we would have added it in the cost of inventory. So here option B will be the correct choice. Next one, the activity of bringing together the transactions of similar nature, a very big hint, and recording them under one specific account is known as what? Recording, interpreting, summarizing, classifying, journalizing. What do you think? Recording, interpreting, summarizing, classifying, journalizing. The activity of bringing the transactions together of similar nature. There is no such concept of similar nature in journal. We always have to record the transactions in a mix. Whatever transactions are there is being recorded in journal. Recording happens in journal only. Interpreting, we are not interpreting anything. We are talking about bringing together the transactions. We are not studying the transaction. We are actually working on the transaction. Summarizing, I'm not summarizing anything. Classifying the transaction. Now classification का मतलब यही होता है कि similar nature की चीजों को एक साथ ले आओ. Say for example, इस वाले बैच के अंदर सेबी देने वाले लोग भी हैं, आरबीआई देने वाले लोग भी हैं और पीएफआरडीए देने वाले लोग भी हैं. सो मैं क्या कर सकता हूं? क्लासिफाई कर सकता हूं. पीएफआरडीए सब इधर आ जाओ, सेबी वाले सब इधर आ जाओ, आरबीआई वाले सब इधर चले जाओ. So this is nothing but classification which is more related to ledger. Right? Which is more related to ledger. So option D here is the correct choice. Next one. Where should the amount incurred on patent, which is still in process, is being developed, be shown in Companies Act 2013 Schedule 3, where you need to show this kind of patent? Now this is from the presentation part of your financial statement chapter. Preparation and presentation of financial statements. That's intangible asset under development, right? Intangible asset under development, option B is the correct choice. Next one, the term used when data is unavailable in the financial reports. The term used when data is unavailable in the financial reports. Now this can be a confusing one. This can definitely be a confusing one. Will it really be discrepancy? Let's suppose I recorded a transaction as 100 rupee Sachin told me that this financial transaction is of 120. This is called as data discrepancy. When the data is unavailable, then only discrepancy can be there. If the data in itself is not available, how there can be any kind of discrepancy? Option A, cancel. Option D also cancel. There is no such term as option D. Now tell me. Information ambiguity. Now, what do you mean by information ambiguity? Information is not clear. That means information is available, na? Option B also cancel. There is no problem of ambiguity. There is a problem of unavailability. Option B also cancelled. Valuation inconsistency, cancel. अरे वैल्यूएशन में इनकंसिस्टेंसी आने के लिए वैल्यूएशन होना भी तो चाहिए ना. Here we don't have any kind of valuation, so technically we call it as measurement uncertainty. Technically, right? It is called as measurement uncertainty. Now I have given you why other options are not the correct choice here. Yes, this will become a hit and trial question only, right? So one googly question, 1 or 2 googly questions can always be there in your examination. No matter कितना भी पढ़ लिया हो, कितने भी कोर्सेज कर लिए हो, कितने भी मॉक टेस्ट कर लिए हो, 1-2 नए क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं गूगली क्वेश्चंस, और वो हिट एंड ट्रायल से सॉल्व हो सकते हैं. नहीं हो तो भी कोई बात नहीं, हिट एंड ट्रायल से ये वाला सॉल्व मेरे हिसाब से हो सकता था, पर कंफ्यूजन हो सकता था इन दोनों ऑप्शंस में, राइट? इन दोनों ऑप्शंस में कंफ्यूजन हो सकता था. नेक्स्ट वन, which Indian accounting standard specifically governs the preparation and presentation of cash flow statement? This is one of the most repeated question and a favorite question of all the exam bodies. ये ऐसा क्वेश्चन है जो हर एग्जाम में आया हुआ है और पता नहीं इसमें ऐसा क्या फेवरेट है उन लोगों का. इसका अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड और इसका इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड हर एग्जाम में आया हुआ है एक बार. सर वापस आ सकता है क्या? आई डोंट नो, इट माइट कम, है ना? तो ये चीज कहना कि सर पिछली बार आया है, इस बार वापस आ सकता है क्या? डेफिनेटली आ सकता है. काफी सारे एग्जाम में पीवाईक्यू को देख के पेपर बनाया जाता है, सो कितनी बार क्वेश्चंस रिपीट भी हो जाते हैं. एंड आई हैव ऑलरेडी गिवन यू अ लिस्ट ऑफ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स एंड इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स, जिसका नाम और नंबर आपको याद रखना है. ठीक है, मैंने वहां सिर्फ कोर्स तक लिमिट नहीं किया है, आपके कोर्स से बाहर जाके भी आई हैव गिवन यू सम ऑफ द नेम्स एंड नंबर्स ऑफ द अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड इन इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड दैट यू नीड टू नो, राइट? सो अगर एग्जाम में वो आ जाए एक आध नाम, एक क्वेश्चन ऐसा आ सकता है जिस अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का, इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का नंबर और नाम आपके कोर्स में नहीं होगा, पर वो एग्जाम में आ सकता है. एक आध ऐसा आ सकता है ना. आई हैव गिवन यू कि क्या क्या आपको पढ़ने हैं, राइट? वो लिस्ट मैंने दे रखी है मार्क करके कि कौन कौन से आपको पढ़ने. फिर मत बोलना सर आउट ऑफ कोर्स है, ये वाली चीजें आती है. ठीक है, लास्ट टाइम आई थिंक डिसकंटिन्यूड ऑपरेशन को लेके कुछ आ गया था किसी एग्जाम में, पीएफआरडीए या सेबी में. सो एक आउट ऑफ कोर्स क्वेश्चन तो बनता है, बिकॉज सिलेबस इज ऑलवेज इंडिकेटिव नॉट एग्जॉस्टिव. इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 7, और ये तो हमारे कोर्स में भी है, राइट? इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 7 हम कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट पढ़ते हैं, उसमें पहली लाइन ही हम ये पढ़ते हैं कि अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 3 गवर्न करता है कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट को, एंड इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 7 गवर्न करता है. ओके, मोस्ट रिपीटेड क्वेश्चन. नेक्स्ट वन, what about goodwill account? If I try to classify goodwill account on the basis of traditional concept, can you tell me the expected classification here? Personal, real, nominal. There's no such thing as expense account in the traditional rule of accounting, right? Real account. Goodwill is a kind of real account, right? Goodwill is a kind of real account. अच्छा, गुडविल के बारे में एक चीज पढ़ाता हूं. self-generated or acquired? There are two types of goodwill, self-generated and acquired. What do you mean by self-generated goodwill? Can you guys tell me what is the meaning of self-generated goodwill here? ये भी क्वेश्चन एग्जाम में आ सकता है. What do you mean by self-generated goodwill? अपने आप जनरेट हो गई, अपने आप जनरेट हो गई. How? हल्दीराम, Amazon, Flipkart, McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, Zara, Wrangler. There are so many brands. Adidas. Self-generated goodwill. इतना टाइम हो गया बिजनेस करते करते, 50 साल हो गया. सो रेपुटेशन गुडविल ओवरऑल बन गई. आपके यहाँ पे भी बहुत सारी शॉप्स होंगी, कोई डोसे वाला होगा, कोई कचौड़ी वाला होगा, चलो वहां की कचौड़ी खाते हैं. So it takes time. Zerodha, yes, definitely Zerodha is a brand. They have the goodwill. Zero brokerage. Tata, very good. There are so many examples. There are so many examples. They do have self-generated goodwill. Self-generated goodwill is never recorded in the books of accounts. Is never recorded in the books of accounts. Why? Because this is self-generated. It's very difficult to value the goodwill. It's very difficult to value the goodwill, right? Acquired goodwill can come in your balance sheet directly, can come in your books of accounts. Sir, what do you mean by acquired goodwill? For example, there is a company ABC Limited. The net worth of the company is 1 lakh rupees. I acquired ABC Limited. I acquired ABC Limited for 1,00,000 rupees. What is this 40,000 rupee? What is this additional 40,000 that I am giving? The net worth is just 1 lakh rupees. However, I am paying 40,000 extra. This is a case of acquired goodwill. This is a case of acquired goodwill. Okay. This is recorded in the books of accounts. Why? Because I am actually paying 1,40,000 and I am receiving in return a value of only 1 lakh. So why I am paying that excess money? 40,000 I paid for goodwill. 40,000 I paid for goodwill. Now maybe the net worth of, for example, any company. Say for example, McDonald's. For example, hypothetically, the net worth of McDonald's is, for example, 1,000 crore, just a rough estimation. I know the rough estimation is also too bad. 1,000 crore is the valuation. Let's suppose you guys want to buy the entire company McDonald's. Now, can you really buy it at the net worth? Say, for example, the net worth is 1,000 crore. Will the McDonald's company sell that brand to you all for 1,000 crore? No. They will be charging a premium. They will be charging the value of goodwill as well, because they are doing business from past 40 years, 50 years, or maybe 100 years. I don't know. Right? So that's why, yes, Jio Hotstar or any other kind of acquisition, I can say, the companies charge the money of goodwill, and that is called as acquired goodwill. If I have acquired a company for 1,40,000, which is worth just 1 lakh rupees, 40,000 I have paid for goodwill. 40,000 I have paid for goodwill. Next one. What is the characteristic feature of ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning? ERP ka full form is Enterprise Resource Planning software that promotes collaboration and information sharing among employees. A very simple question. ERPs are basically accounting softwares. Yes, option C is the correct choice. Unified platform for cross-departmental collaboration. Can you guys give me some examples of ERP? Can you guys tell me some versions of ERP? Name of software companies, famous software companies related to ERP. Okay. Can you guys tell me the top ERP companies? Now we can say that Tally is also ERP, but the top ERP companies, SAP, Oracle, right? These are proper ERP. Enterprise resource planning, perfect. So what do you mean by enterprise resource planning? We do have production department, we do have sales department, we do have marketing department, right? We have human resource department. So different functions can be managed in ERP. That's why we say enterprise resource planning will be able to manage the entire resources of the enterprises. That's why we say that this is a cross-departmental collaboration. So many departments are getting collaborated because of the ERP. All the departments are linked with ERP. Production department में कुछ करोगे तो दूसरी जगह एंट्रीज पास हो जाएगी because all the departments are linked here. Next one. How are advances and loans made by the financial institutions classified in the cash flow statement? Classified in the cash flow statement. Loans and advances in cash flow statement. Similar question we have done in the paid classes also. So they have clearly mentioned advances and loans made. Made, that means they have given it. That means they have given it. And the good part is whether you have taken a loan or whether you have given a loan, in this particular transaction, in both the cases, it is going to be operating activity only. Why? Because the crux of the business is it is a financial institution. Now, if HDFC Bank is offering you a loan, that's a operating activity for HDFC Bank. It's a day-to-day activity. It is a day-to-day activity, right? It is a day-to-day activity of HDFC Bank. Whether HDFC Bank is taking a loan from some other bank, that is also a day-to-day activity for HDFC Bank, because the business is of the financial institution. We are a bank. So giving loans and advances, taking loans and advances, taking deposits, everything will come up in the operating activity in itself. So option A here is the correct choice. Next one. Accounting involves recording in summarizing all the financial transactions of a business. Which of the following is not a qualitative characteristics of accounting? Which of the following is not a qualitative characteristics of accounting? Verifiability, accountability, comparability, relevance, reliability. Take your time and answer the question. Can't we compare the data in accounting? Yes, we can compare the data in accounting. Why can't we compare the data in accounting? You guys can't compare the data in accounting. Definitely you can do that. That's what we do in the entire accounting. That's why we do accounting. Nancy Jayata, option B, okay. What about others? Oh, yes, option B is the correct choice, guys. Accountability is a different thing. If we talk about the qualitative characteristics of accounting, we can verify the data. The data should be relevant. The data should be reliable. It should be comparable. So these are the 4 qualitative characteristics of your accounting. Next one. Claim against the company not acknowledged as debt is classified as which of the following? Claim against the company not acknowledged as debt is classified as which of the following? The correct choice is option E, contingent liability, right? That's a contingent liability. There's a claim on the company, but the company has never acknowledged it as a debt. That's a kind of contingent liability. It may happen, it may not happen. Next one, the opening inventory is 3500, closing inventory is 1500, cost of goods sold is 22,000. What will be the amount of purchase? A very simple question. Similar question we have covered in the costing as well. Similar question we have done, I think, yesterday only in the costing class as well. So we have COGS, cost of the goods sold, 22,000. We know that it is equal to opening stock plus purchase that we need to calculate minus my closing stock. The answer will be 20,000 here. The answer will be 20,000 here. Perfect. Next one. As per Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013, the current maturities of long-term debt have to be shown under which of the following heading? Similar question we have covered in the paid classes as well. Schedule 3, current maturities of long-term debt have been shown under which of the following heading? Long-term borrowings, other long-term liabilities, short-term borrowings, current liabilities. Same question we have done in the paid classes. John option A, okay. Nancy option D, okay. A, C, A, D, D, C, C. भाई सिर्फ बी डी और ई रह गए, ई भी हो गया है, सिर्फ बी डी रह गए. It can never be a long term liability. This is a current maturity of a long term debt. It will be a short term borrowing only. Why? For example, you have debentures. You have debentures and they are matured. And they are matured. That's what the meaning of current maturity is. Or if they are matured, then you need to pay it. You have to pay it. Right? You have to pay it if they are matured. It doesn't matter if it is a long-term debt. If it is matured, then it is a current liability. You have to pay it. Right? So that's why the answer here will be short-term borrowings and not long-term borrowings. Next one. Which of the following is a commitment item in the financial statement? Now we have seen the list of commitments in the financial statement. What do you guys mean by a commitment? We have a list of contingent liabilities and commitment. Uncalled liability. Dividend declared after the balance sheet date but before AGM. Claims not acknowledged as debt. Guarantees arrears of preference dividend. Similar question we have done in the paid class as well. Guys, when we talk about commitment, let's suppose the share is worth rupees 10. That's the face value of my share. I have just called up 6 rupees 4 rupees uncalled capital. Uncalled capital. Now you have committed me that you will pay the rest of the 4 rupee also. You will be paying me the rest of the 4 rupee also. That's what the meaning of commitment is. And we have done a similar question. We have done a similar question in the paid classes. This is there in your preparation and presentation of financial statements. It is there covered in your balance sheet wala lecture. Okay. It's covered in your balance sheet lecture, I think in part 1 or in part 2. The answer here is uncalled liability. Now dividend declared after the balance sheet date but before AGM. Claims, this is a contingent liability. Claims acknowledged as debt. Guarantee is a contingent liability, but if we talk about uncalled liability, that is actually a commitment. So in your course, in my PPT, I have given you a list of the commitments and contingent liability. Please do go through it. Okay. Area of preference dividend, that's an actual liability. You have to pay that. You haven't paid the preference dividend, that's an actual liability. Whereas commitment and contingent liability is somewhat different. Acha, tell me, Ind AS are notified by which of the following organization? MCA, Ministry of Finance, ICI, SEBI, or RBI? Ind AS are notified by which of the following? Are you sure the answer is ICI? Indian accounting standards are notified by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. By Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So MCA, they notify the Ind AS. Okay, they notify the Ind AS here, not the ICI. Not the ICI. So it can't be A or E. There is no A or E in the option. Either it can be A or it can be E. Right? This is an examination question. Next one. This also came in your SEBI Grade A examination. When a right shareholders transfer his right to another person, this is known as what? This is known as what? You have a right share and you are transferring your right to somebody else, to someone else. In that case, what you are doing actually is, yes, you are renouncing your right. No doubt it is a transfer only, but we call it as a renunciation of right. Option A is the correct choice. Next one. Which of the following item is shown under the investing activity in cash flow statement? Investing activity in cash flow statement. Dividend paid to shareholders, payment made to suppliers, cash received from customers, admin expenses, purchase of equipment. A very simple one. Purchase of equipment, which is the investing activity. Why? Because you are acquiring a fixed asset. You are acquiring a fixed asset. Whereas if I talk about dividend paid to shareholder, can you tell me what is this activity? I have paid dividend to my shareholders. What will be the activity here? Operating, investing, financing. Dividend paid to shareholders. Financing, very good. Perfect. That's a financing activity. Raising money from my shareholder is a financing activity. Paying them dividend is also a financing activity. Payment to suppliers, operating activity. Cash received from customers, operating activity. Administration expense, salaries, electricity bills, everything, operating activity. Option E, payment of equipment, it is a investing activity, right? So guys, the first question here is, the capital required for day-to-day business operation is also known as working capital. We call it as working capital, right? How do we calculate the working capital? Here you need to tell me how to calculate the working capital. how we can calculate the working capital. So guys, current assets can't be the answer here because we need to calculate the working capital. Net current asset, by net current asset we mean that current asset minus current liability. So this will be the correct choice here, option B. Net current asset means current asset minus current liability. So I can call it as net working capital. We can also call it as net current assets, one of the same thing only. It can't be option D because total current asset, that's fine, but total liabilities, no. We only take current liabilities. Right? Total current liabilities. So total current asset is fine, but current liability is actually what we need, and total liability is not at all current liability. It's the total of non-current liability plus current liability. So this is not going to be the correct answer. Total assets, never. We only take current assets. Non-current liabilities, that's wrong. We only take current liabilities. So option B here will be the correct choice. Acha, can you tell me guys? Let's suppose the question is you need to calculate the gross working capital. What will be the correct answer in that case? Gross working capital. Yes, it will be total of current asset, right? Here will be correct. If they ask you gross working capital, then option A will be correct. If they ask you just working capital, then option B will be correct, right? So working capital has two parts: gross working capital, net working capital. When we talk about net working capital, it is current asset minus current liability. And when we talk about gross working capital, it's nothing but the total of my current asset. By default, net current asset is nothing but current asset minus current liability only. Okay. Next one. Which of the following accounting concept is applied by an entity when events such as new competitor entering the market and there is a drift between production and marketing department are not disclosed in the books of accounts? So there is a new competitor which is entering the market and I don't want to disclose that in my books of accounts, which is the concept applicable behind this approach. That's money measurement, right? That's money measurement. Why? Because entering a new competitor entering your market, you don't care about that thing. Why? Because that's not quantifiable in monetary terms. So payment becomes the correct choice here. Next one. The aggregate of cash flow statements, arising from obtaining, losing control of subsidiaries or any other business should be classified as what? Operating, financing, investing, equity, non-cash activity. Obtaining or losing control of subsidiaries or any other business will be what? This will be your investing activity, right? This will be your investing activity. You are obtaining control or losing it. That means you are acquiring equity share capital of an entity. So can I say that you are making an investment? Yes, you are making an investment here. So option C, investing activity, is the correct choice. Next one. Which one of the following concepts prepares, which one of the following concerns, which one of the following entities prepares the receipt and payment account? Trading, non-trading, manufacturing, companies registered under Companies Act, none of the above. Now here the answer can be contradictory in nature. UPSC has given non-trading concern as the answer. Now let me just tell you why it is contradictory in nature. When you are preparing receipt and payment account, usually it is prepared by NPOs, not for profit organizations. Okay, usually they are prepared for by not for profit organization. Let's suppose I am an NGO, I'm running an NGO. I will be preparing the receipt and payment account. Why? Because I am not a trading concern nor a profit motive driven concern, right? I'm not driven because of the profit motive. So it will be better that I prepare receipt and payment account here, income and expenditure account here. Now, if you are a non-trading concern, then you don't have to prepare the trading account, but you can prepare the P&L account, right? You can directly prepare the P&L account. So here receipt and payment account will also be prepared by non-trading concern, because here we are not preparing the trading account. Rather, we are not at all doing the trading stuff. So they have given the answer here as non-trading concern, but I feel that more specific answer can be not for profit organizations, not for profit organizations. Okay, so it will be a contradictory in nature. Deferred tax liability is shown under which of the following head in balance sheet as per Companies Act 2013? We have done a similar question like this in the paid class. Deferred tax liability. You have to show deferred tax liability here. Deferred tax liability. Perfect. Non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities is the correct choice. Deferred tax liabilities are shown in the non-current liabilities. Perfect. Which of the following statement is not correct? Depreciation is a non-cash expense. Depreciation is the process of valuation of the asset. The main cause of depreciation is wear and tear caused by usage. Depreciation must be charged so as to ascertain true profit or loss for the business. None of the above. You need to identify the statement which is not correct. So what do you think, guys? Perfect. Depreciation is the process of valuation of assets. No, it is not correct. Depreciation is not a valuation process, right? It's more of allocation of the cost of that asset over the useful life. So let's suppose my asset is of 1 lakh. That's my cost. Now the life of the asset is 10 years. So I can say that I'm systematically allocating the cost over the useful life. So every year I'll be charging 10,000 rupees as the depreciation. So option B is not correct, right? Which of the following is not a major consideration in the selection and application of accounting policies? Which of the following is not a major consideration in selection and application of accounting policies? Prudence, consistency, substance over form, materiality. Guys, here we are talking about selection and application of accounting policies. Selection and application of accounting policies. So we need to be prudent here. We need to be prudent here. Right? Substance over form. What do you mean by substance over form? We ignore the legal consideration and we see the substance of the transaction. Materiality, it is also there. It is also there. The correct choice here will be consistency. Consistency is a fundamental accounting assumption and it is not at all a factor used to select policies. Right? Here we are talking about selecting the policies. So selection, want to be considering the consistency in consideration before moving ahead. That's why the correct choice here will be consistency. Substance in legal form is actually essential. Why? Because I have to see the crux of the transaction. I have to see the crux of the transaction. And the answer is given by UPSC. Again, it is picked from UPSC EPFO paper. Right? But I feel that the question can be drafted in a better way. And application should not be there in the question. And application should not be there in the question. If it is only selection, then it would have been a better question. Then it would have been a better question, or let me just make it for you. Right? The exact question came in the UPSC examination related to accounting part. If I just remove the word application from it, it will be a better framing of the question. It will be a better framing of the question. Sure, Nancy, definitely. I can explain substance over legal form. So we call it as substance over legal form. Over legal form. Right? So say for example, you're buying a car. You're buying a brand new car worth rupees 10 lakhs. But you are buying it on the higher purchase basis. What is higher purchase? Every year you will be paying, say for example, 2 lakh rupees. Every year you will be paying 2 lakh rupees. So can I say that as of now, every year you are just paying 2 lakh rupees? You are just paying 2 lakh rupees every year. So ideally you paid 10 lakh rupees here. Ideally you paid 10 lakh rupees here. But you are showing this car as an asset from right now. From the very first year in itself. You are showing the car as an asset from the very first year, but actually you are going to become the owner in the 5th year. You are going to become owner in the 5th year. That's called as substance over legal form. The legal form is that you are going to become the owner in the 5th year, but the substance, the crux of the transaction is you own this car from day one. You own this car from day one. Let's suppose I bought a brand new flat. So I have paid the entire consideration of 1 crore rupee, for example, to the owner of the flat. Now that flat is mine. I got the possession. It's just the legal registry which is pending. It's just some of the legal formalities that are pending. Right? So after buying that flat, the old owner name will be deleted and my name will be added in the legal documentation. So it's just a legal formality. It will take time. So the substance is that I am the owner. The substance is that I am the owner. I am the new owner of the of the flat. So I can say that we ignore the legal form because we care about the substance of the transaction कि actually क्या हो रहा है. सही है? Actually क्या हो रहा है? भाई मैंने पैसे दे दिए, मैंने फ्लैट ले लिया, मैंने पोजीशन ले लिया. अब सिर्फ एक नेम ऑफ ट्रांसफर ऑफ नेम बाकी है फ्रॉम द ओल्ड ओनर टू द न्यू ओनर. वो तो होता रहेगा. The substance is कि I am the new owner. That's what substance over legal form is. So here current assets of 8 lakhs are given. Current assets of 8 lakhs are given. Current liabilities of 4,80,000 are also given here. Stock is of 2 lakh rupees. Can you guys tell me what will be the quick ratio here? What will be the quick ratio here? 1.25 will be the correct choice. So quick assets is nothing but current assets minus stock minus prepaid expense minus advance tax or any other illiquid asset. So can I say that 8 lakh minus 2 lakh, this will be 6 lakh. So 6 divided by 8.5, sorry, 6 divided by 4.8, this will be 1.25 times. राइट हमने तो बहुत डिटेल्ड में क्वेश्चन किए थे, पर जनरली फेज 1 के अंदर इस तरह के क्वेश्चन ज्यादा आते हैं, एंड दीज क्लासेस आर बोथ फॉर योर फेज 1 एंड फेज 2 मिक्स के अंदर है. Which of the following statement is correct about income and expenditure account? Income and expenditure account, is it a real account, is it a personal account, is it a nominal account, representative personal account? None of the above. Yes, that's a nominal account, right? That's a nominal account. So please do remember, income and expenditure account is a nominal account because all the elements that we have here are part of nominal account, right? Expenses, losses, gains and income, these all are nominal account, and nominal account never comes in balance sheet, right? Only personal and real account are there in the balance sheet. Which accounting principle is followed when advertisement expenditure is classified as deferred expenses? Is classified as deferred revenue expenditure. What is deferred revenue expenditure? Can you guys give me an example or the meaning of deferred revenue expenditure? What do you guys mean by deferred revenue expenditure? There are three terminologies which are very, very confusing. Deferred revenue expenditure, first term. Second term, deferred taxes. Third term, deferred revenue. Acha, there is a difference between deferred revenue and deferred revenue expenditure. Okay, they both are completely different. Can you guys tell me what is the meaning of deferred revenue expenditure? Anyone? Future operational expense, okay. Future economic benefit to be retrieved, so expenditure divided into years is deferred revenue expenditure, okay. Acceptable. Expenditure that provides long-term benefit. For example, advertisement expense. Advertisement expense. I incurred 1 lakh rupees as the advertisement expense. I incurred 1 lakh rupees as the advertisement expense. It will be helpful for me right now and in the coming few years as well. So can I say that I can defer this revenue expenditure? This is a revenue expenditure only. This is not at all a capital expenditure, but the nature is such that it will be better if I defer a part of it. So I'll be charging 50,000 right now. I'll be charging rest of the 50,000 in the next year. In the next year, so can I say that I have deferred this expenditure by 50,000? Deferred means delaying. But I need to clearly state that this is a kind of revenue nature element, right? This is not capital asset. No capital asset is being created. But the nature is such that it will be better that I defer it. Because actually I'm realizing benefit in more than 1 year. But the problem is it is not resulting in creation of a capital asset. Otherwise, I could have treated this expenditure as a capital expenditure, but I cannot. So that's why there is a category which is deferred revenue expenditure. Okay. And whenever we are deferring something, so that now what I'm trying to do here is I'm deferring an expenditure because I feel that the revenue and expenditure can be matched in the relevant year. The expenditure is matched with the relevant year. Let's suppose in year 1, I'm earning 1 crore rupee and the expenditure of 1 lakh rupee will be giving me benefit in the next year also. So let's charge only 50,000 this year, because in the next year revenue also this advertisement expenditure will be giving some contribution. So let's charge rest of the 50,000 in the next year, right? So this is the concept of deferred revenue expenditure. Can you also tell me what do you mean by deferred taxes? Oh yes, Nancy, we can say that. We can say that. Preliminary expenses, we can definitely say that. Why? Because it is not creating any capital asset for us. But we need to defer it. Why? Because it is not related to just 1 year, but multiple year. So slowly we will write it down. Acha, here the correct answer is matching concept, okay? Why? Because we are trying to match the expense with that of the related revenue. Deferred taxes, we all know the concept of DTA and DTL we have studied. Deferred revenue means you are delaying the revenue. What is revenue? Your sales. Your sales. So say for example, Vaishali paid me 1 lakh rupee in advance. I'm yet to teach her. But she paid me 1 lakh rupees in advance. For example, that's a deferred revenue for me. Why? Because she has given me advance. This is not my revenue. That's why instead of booking it as a revenue, I can defer it. अरे मैंने अभी तक उसको पढ़ाया ही नहीं है, तो मैं कैसे उसको रेवेन्यू बुक कर लूंगा 1 लाख रुपीस को? दैट्स नॉट पॉसिबल, राइट? इट इज एज गुड एज एन एडवांस. मे बी शी कैन कम अप आफ्टर सम डेज कि सर मेरे को अभी नहीं पढ़ना, मैं सेल्फ पढ़ रही हूँ या मैं कहीं और पढ़ रही हूँ, सो आई नीड टू पे हर बैक. So it's a kind of deferred revenue for me. I'll defer the revenue till the time I actually earn it. So deferred revenue is nothing but received in advance. So you need to defer it. Right? And deferred revenue expenditure is actually a revenue expenditure, but you are going to realize the benefit over the period of time. That's why you are deferring it. So here the correct choice is matching concept. Next one, the practice of appending the notes regarding contingent liability in the accounting statement is pursuant to which accounting concept or consistency? I show contingent liabilities in my notes to accounts because of which concept or convention? Very simple, we have covered it in the classes. The correct choice here will be option D, convention of full disclosure. I will fully disclose each and everything. It doesn't matter. Somebody filed a lawsuit on me of 1 crore rupee. I'll be disclosing that in my notes to accounts. I can't record it in my balance sheet because of the money measurement concept. I don't know how much will actually materialize. It is still pending in court. So that's why I can just disclose it in my notes to accounts, right? Option D here will be the correct choice. Next one. Which accounting system is primarily used to maintain the accuracy, completeness in financial record keeping? A very simple one. Very simple one. That's double entry bookkeeping, right? That's but double entry bookkeeping. Acha, incomplete record, we also call single entry system as incomplete records. Accounting system of incomplete records, we call it a single entry. But in double entry bookkeeping, we give the impact of both debit and credit of a transaction. We record both the aspects. Next one, insurance claim received on account of machinery damaged completely by fire is an example of what? Capital receipt, revenue receipt, capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, none of the above. There was a machinery which was completely destroyed. So you received some money from the insurance company because that machine was insured. There was a machinery which is destroyed by fire. So insurance company paid me some amount. Let's suppose this machinery was worth rupees 10 lakh rupees, so it was insured. So insurance company paid me some amount of 8 lakh rupees, for example. What is this? Capital receipt, revenue receipt, capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, none of the above. The correct answer is capital receipt. Obviously, this machine is a capital asset. Against this machine, I'm getting 8 lakh rupees. This will be treated as a capital receipt. Why? Because machinery was my capital asset. Machinery was my capital asset. So I'm receiving that amount as a compensation, and this compensation will be capital receipt here. A low cash conversion cycle implies what? Low cash conversion cycle implies what? High inventory levels, cash flow problems, quick conversion of invested capital to cash, high accounts receivable, heavy reliance on short-term financing. Acha, having a low cash conversion cycle, say for example, it takes 30 days for Sumesh to convert the asset into cash, whereas for Nancy it is possible within 15 days. For Nancy it is possible within 15 days. So I can say that the cash conversion cycle of Nancy is lower than that of Sumesh. Nancy can realize the money in 15 days, whereas Sumesh can realize the money in 30 days. Cash conversion cycle is in number of days. So can I say that it suggests me quick conversion of capital into cash? Why? Because Sumesh can convert that in 30 days, whereas Nancy can convert that in 15 days. So here option C will be the correct choice. Option C will be the correct choice. Next one. As per the MCA roadmap, the Ind AS is applicable to certain classes of company based on the net worth criteria. Which of the following threshold determines mandatory applicability for unlisted company? If you are an unlisted company, when you need to follow Indian accounting standards, in that case, So 250 crore plus, it will be better if you can say 250 crore or more, right? It's not exceeding 250 crore, but it is exactly 250 crore is also included in this or more, right? Then you need to follow the Indian accounting standards, and C is the correct choice here. Next one, which company is required to prepare consolidated accounts? Every holding company, every subsidiary company, every listed company, every associate company, every joint venture. This question was there in the SEBI Grade A examination 2024. Listed company, holding company, holding company. Okay, so many holding company. One answer is listed company. Any other opinion, anyone? Holding company is the correct choice. Holding company is the correct choice. Maybe I am a listed company, PT Limited. I am a listed entity. My stock is listed on NSE or BSE. But I don't have any subsidiary, associate, joint venture company. In that case also, how can I prepare the consolidated financial statements, right? So this is a common confusion. You guys can also feel कि सर listed company को तो consolidated accounts बनाने ही पड़ते हैं. देखो सबको बनाने पड़ते हैं. If you are having a holding company, right? I'm holding two companies, then I need to prepare the consolidated accounts. Okay, and most of the students have actually marked listed company in the examination when this question came. Okay, so here the correct choice is holding company. Holding company. The value of long-term investment in share is subject to wide fluctuations. A provision created against fluctuation in the value of investment is based on the convention of what? The correct choice will be conservatism only, right? Conservatism only. Difference between holding subsidiary associate. Okay, let me just quickly tell you guys. I have covered this as well in the paid classes, but let me just quickly tell you if you haven't seen that class. PT Limited is holding 20% or more, 20% or more equity shares of A Limited. Of A Limited. Can you guys tell me what will be A Limited for PT Limited? For me, what will be A Limited? I hold 20% or more, but less than 50%, up to 50%. Just give me a second now. Okay. So this is my associate company, 20% or more, but up to 50%. Up to 50%. This is my associate company. This is my associate company. A Limited is my associate company. Example change. I hold more than 50%. I hold more than 50% of equity shares of B Limited. What will be B Limited for me, guys? What will be B Limited for me, guys? What is B Limited for me in this case? That's my subsidiary. That's my subsidiary company. In associate, I have a significant influence. I have a significant influence in my associate, but in my subsidiary, I have a significant control. I have a significant control. Why? Because ordinary resolution तो मैं खुद अकेला अपने बेस पे ही पास कर दूंगा ना. आई एम होल्डिंग मोर देन 50%. सो मेजोरिटी तो मैं ही बन जाता हूं. कोई भी डिसीजन चाहिए हो, if I want to take any decision of the company, I can easily pass ordinary resolution on my own. I don't need any other shareholder, right? I don't need any other shareholder to pass an ordinary resolution. But in associate company, I can't pass an ordinary resolution. I can't control that company, but I have a significant influence because I am a 20 or more than 20% ka shareholder, right? And what if I start owing 100% of the equity shares of the company? Then that will be wholly owned subsidiary. That will be called as wholly owned subsidiary in all the cases. PT Limited will be the parent company or the holding company. In all the cases, PT Limited will be the parent company or the holding company. So can I say that if I own 20% or more than 20% of a company, but up to 50%, that will be my subsidiary company. The moment I started owing more than 50%, that is my subsidiary, not associate. 20 or more than 20, up to 50, associate company. More than 50, subsidiary company. 100%, wholly owned subsidiary company. So can I say that DICGC is a wholly owned subsidiary of Reserve Bank of India? Right? Wholly owned subsidiary of Reserve Bank of India, because Reserve Bank of India is owing 100% of the DICGC. Clear? All clear? Any queries in this one? Any queries in this one? Joint venture. So Reliance Industry is also entering into the reinsurance business. So they have partnered with the Alliance Group of USA, or maybe Germany, I'm not sure. Right? Alliance Group. They have partnered with Alliance Group, so they are forming a joint venture for that. They are forming a joint venture for that. They are not acquiring each other's equity shares, but they are just acquiring equity shares. So holding is parent company 100%. We can't say 100% because I am holding just 20% in A Limited. Still I am a parent company. Still I am a parent company, right? Still I am a parent company. So it's not like that I have to hold 100% always. Even if I own 20%, I will be the parent company, right? Even if I hold 60%, that is more than 50%, I will be the parent company. But the moment I started becoming a parent company or a holding company, I need to consolidate. I need to prepare the consolidated accounts, right? Acha, next one. According to Ind AS 36, what does impairment of asset means? Option B is correct. When the asset's carrying amount is higher than the recoverable value, I am carrying an asset, let's suppose a building, at 1 lakh rupees. So carrying amount means balance sheet amount. I'm carrying an asset at 1 lakh rupee and I can recover only 70,000 for that. So I can say that 30,000 is a impairment loss. As per Ind AS 36, 30,000 is an impairment loss. Next one, a credit purchase of machinery. I actually purchased a machine is recorded in the purchase book instead of journal proper is an example of what kind of error? Actually, this is a machinery. This is a machinery. And I have recorded this in a purchase book. I have recorded this in a purchase book. What kind of error is this? This is purely an error of principle. My accounting principle. There is an accounting principle error. The accountant should have booked this machinery as an asset, not as a purchase. I told you, right? While classes, I told you that 4 terminologies: debtors, creditors, purchase, sales, I can use only for my stock, only for my inventories, not for my fixed asset, not for my fixed asset. So this is an error of principle. The accounting principle is not correct, right? This is not an accounting principle. What I have done is I have treated a capital expenditure as a revenue expenditure here, which is not at all correct. I have treated a capital expenditure as a revenue expenditure, which is not correct. What is error of omission? There was a transaction of 1000 rupees. I completely omitted it. I never recorded this in my books of account. Is an error of omission. Error of commission. Instead of 1000, I recorded 100 or I recorded 2000. That's an error of commission. There are clerical errors. This is called as clerical error, error of commission. Compensating error. There was an error in debit side by 1000. Similarly, there was an error in credit side also by 1000. Now this compensates. Debit is equal to credit. Compensate. It automatically compensates. Error of principle. You are confused between revenue and capital expenditure or revenue receipt and capital receipt. That is the error of principle. Next one. When an organization adopts a conservative approach while preparing its P&L account, which accounting principle is being applied? That's a very simple one, right? Prudence, conservatism. They have given me a big hint in the question in itself. Conservative approach, and that's nothing but prudence. That's nothing but prudence. Option A. Next one. Which of the following statement about trial balance is correct? It is a book containing different accounts of an entity. It is a statement containing balances of debtors of an entity. It is a statement containing balances of debtors and creditors of an entity. It is a statement containing various ledger balances of an entity on a particular date. None of the above. Option D here is correct. It is nothing but a statement containing the various ledger balances of an entity on a particular date. Acha, can you also tell me the trial balance is for what purpose? What is the purpose of preparing trial balance? Now that's one of the most repeated question. Purpose of preparing trial balance in any organization. Why do we even prepare trial balance, guys? Arithmetical accuracy check. Very good. Arithmetical accuracy check. The accounting process begins by dash financial transactions and concludes with dash the accounting information to the users. This is nothing but a question on accounting process. So we start the accounting process first by identifying the financial transaction. And then communicating it to the user. What mistake you guys can make in the examination is selecting option A, which is not correct. We don't start it by recording the financial transaction. First, we always identify the financial transaction, whether it is financial nature or not, then only we record it. Next one. Which of the following is an application of funds by fund flow statement? Decrease in working capital or increase in working capital? What do you think? When the working capital decreases, money is released. When the working capital increases, money is blocked in business. Let me tell you how. Your working capital is current asset minus current liability. I need to block 1 lakh rupee in my current asset, and I have 20,000 in my current liability. So I need to keep 80,000 in my working capital. That is the money I need in business. If I have a working capital 50,000 minus 10,000, now I only have to keep 40,000 in my business. So if my working capital is decreasing from 80,000 to 40,000, I can say that it is a source. When it will be an application, here I am actually releasing 40,000 rupees, right? Because my working capital is decreasing. So I am releasing 40,000 rupees. But when my working capital is increasing, let's suppose earlier it used to be 40,000, now I need to block 80,000 in my business. This is an application of fund. You need to keep 40,000 more in business. Do you guys even know what is the meaning of working capital? Current asset minus current liability is just the formula. Let me just tell you one thing. current assets, say for example stock debtors. So I need to block 1 lakh rupees in stock and debtors. But at the same time, I can take credit from my creditors. I can take short-term borrowings of 20,000. So I need to just block 80,000 in my business. Let's suppose this is 40,000 instead of 20,000. Then now I need to just block 60,000. So my 20,000, right? So this is giving me a question. This is giving me a question. Say for example, I sell goods worth rupees 1 lakh to John. No, I don't have 1 lakh rupees with me. My money is blocked. But at the same time, I can buy goods from Vaishali for 40,000. So she is my creditor now. She's my creditor now. She just gave me goods by giving me a credit period. So this gives me a breathing space that okay, my 1 lakh rupees blocked, but still 40,000 I can easily procure from Vaishali. 40,000 worth of goods I can easily take from Vaishali. So I can say that my money is blocked in the business, but only 60,000. That is the meaning of working capital, right? Next one. Wages paid for installation of machinery is debited to which of the following account? To which of the following account? It will be debited to machinery account. Why? Because installation expenses are capitalized. Installation expenses are capitalized, so I'll increase the balance of my machine. Machine account debit. Machine debited here, right? Machine account will be debited here. Perfect. Option B here is the right choice. Option B here is the right choice. So the very first question for today is, the net current assets are 20 lakh rupees, the current assets are 60 lakh rupees, and the sales are 120 lakh rupees. You need to here calculate the working capital turnover ratio. What will be the working capital turnover ratio, guys, here? What will be the working capital turnover ratio here? Working capital turnover ratio. Acha, can you guys also tell me the formula to calculate working capital turnover ratio? Am I audible, guys? Okay, perfect. So formula to calculate working capital turnover ratio. The formula to calculate working capital turnover ratio is net sales divided by the average working capital. Divided by the average working capital, right? Divided by the average working capital. So what is my net sales here? 120 lakh is my net sales. And what is my average working capital? 20 lakh rupees. Net current asset is nothing but working capital itself, right? Net current assets is nothing but the working capital in itself. So in the part second, we have discussed the same question, right? It was a concept, not a question. This is a numerical question. So the correct answer here will be option C, 6 times. Option C is the correct choice. Okay. Option C is the correct choice. Next one. Same question. You need to calculate the amount of current liabilities here. You need to just calculate the amount of current liabilities here. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. 40 lakh rupees, right? 40 lakh rupees. So you all know that net current asset or the working capital is 20 lakh rupee. Working capital is 20 lakh rupee. You know that working capital is 20 lakh, current assets are 60 lakh minus current liability. So you can easily calculate the current liability, which will be 40 lakh, right? 40 lakh rupee will be the current liability. Next one. Which of the following correctly describes the tangible net worth of a company? Important. Tangible net worth of a company. Tangible net worth. Take your time. Answer the question. You need to calculate the tangible net worth. Here the correct choice will be option D, right? Option D. So this is my balance sheet. This is my balance sheet. I have assets. I do have liabilities as well. So we have capital. We have reserves and surplus. In assets, we have fixed asset, current asset. Let's suppose intangible assets are also there. In fixed assets, some intangible assets are also there. We have outside liabilities as well. So what is the meaning of net worth? All assets minus the outside liability. That's what net worth is all about. That's what net worth is all about. All assets minus my outside liabilities. So it gives me the net worth for equity shareholders fund, right? It gives me the net worth for equity shareholders. But this is tangible net worth. Tangible net worth. So I can't consider intangible assets. That's why. अच्छा, दो तरह से निकाल सकते हैं. All the assets minus outside liability minus intangible asset. This is the first way. There is one more way. There is one more way. What you can directly do is you can take capital and reserves and surplus. अरे कर तो total assets लेके इसको minus कर रहे हो. Instead of that, what you can do is you can directly take capital and reserves and surplus and you can deduct the intangible assets. That will also give you tangible net worth. Okay, can be important question. Can be an important question. The rent paid to the landlord is credited to which account? Take your time and then answer the question. Rent paid to landlord. I have paid some rent to my landlord. Which account I'll be crediting? Take your time and then answer. I'm paying rent to my landlord. I am paying rent to my landlord. Take your time. I am paying rent to my landlord. Which account will be credited? देखो, rent is an expenditure, so rent account will be debited. Rent is an expenditure, so rent account debit. For example, 10,000. Which account to credit? Any idea? Rent account, I have to debit because rent is an expenditure. Expenditure is going up. Now I am paying the rent. I am paying the rent. Please focus on the terminologies. Rent paid to landlord. How you pay rent to landlord. Very good, Sumesh. To cash account, to cash or bank account. You are paying the rent to landlord. The rent is not outstanding. The rent is not outstanding. आउटस्टैंडिंग होता तो लैंडलॉर्ड अकाउंट को बीच में लेके आता, राइट? आउटस्टैंडिंग रेंट अकाउंट को बीच में लेके आता, तब भी लैंडलॉर्ड का नाम हम कभी नहीं लिखते, हम क्या लिखते? आउटस्टैंडिंग रेंट. सो बिकॉज आई हैव पेड द रेंट, पे किया होगा तो कैश गया होगा. सो रेंट अकाउंट डेबिट टू कैश. व्हाट if it is an outstanding rent? Rent is my expenditure. It doesn't matter whether it is outstanding or not. It will directly, definitely increase the expenses. So rent account debit to outstanding rent, 10,000. This is the entry for outstanding rent. Sir, why you are crediting outstanding rent? Because this is a liability. This is a liability for me. This is nothing but my landlord. I have to pay 10,000 rupees to my landlord. Outstanding means you have to pay it. It is due. Outstanding means you have to pay it. Right? Outstanding matlab due but you haven't paid it. Rent is due but you haven't paid it. So in the initial classes, in the second or third classes, I think we have covered the concept of outstanding rent, prepaid rent, rent received in advance. Right? Concepts like this. Next one. In case of a debt becoming bad, the amount should be credited to which account? In case the debt becoming bad, the debt is becoming bad, the amount should be credited to which account? Take your time, aram se frame the entry, and then let me know in the comment section. No hurry at all. The debt is becoming bad. So you need to pass the entry of bad debts basically. Let me just give you an example. You have debtors of 1 lakh rupees. Now I am saying to you that your bad debts will be 10,000 rupees. You won't be able to recover 10,000 rupees from 1 lakh. What will be the journal entry in that case? What will be the journal entry in that case? Take your time and then answer the query. So I can see in the comment section most of the answers as D. So, acha, tell me what will be debited? What will be debited? I have incurred bad debts. What will be debited? And what will be credited? Do you think that the entry will be bad debts account debit to P&L account? Why you are increasing the profit by crediting the P&L account? Do you guys know what happens when we credit the P&L account? So think logically. If I do the entry bad debts account debit, which is actually my expense is going up because people are not paying me money, losses are going up, to P&L. Prudence, what kind of prudence this is? This is my actual bad debt. This is not provision for bad debt. This is not prudence. This is not prudence. Say for example, Sumesh is my debtor. So I'm yet to receive 1 lakh rupees from Sumesh. Now Sumesh says, sir, I will be paying only 90,000 to you. I'll be paying only 90,000 to you. So 10,000 rupees my real loss. It is my actual loss. This is not prudence. जब मैं provision बनाता तो prudence होता. Bad debts तो actual loss है. Bad debts तो actual loss है. So bad debts account debit 10,000 rupees. This is a loss. This is an expense. Losses are increasing. Expenses are going up. So that's why I have debited it. To P&L account. Really guys, do you think that I will be crediting my P&L account? What do you mean by P&L account credit? By crediting P&L account, we mean that profits are increasing. Do you guys really want to increase the profits? Very good, Nancy. Option A. Option A is the correct choice. Trade receivables. To trade receivables. What do you mean by trade receivables? This is Sumesh. Earlier, he was paying me 1 lakh rupee. Now he will be paying me only 90,000. So don't you think that I need to reduce the balance of my debtors? I need to reduce the balance of my debtors, right? Option A here will be the correct choice. Trade receivables account will be credited. Trade receivables account will be credited. Next one. Accounting information is expected to be objective, capable of verification, and free from material errors or biasness, so that users can place confidence in it while making the decisions. What qualitative characteristics of accounting information is being referred to here? Relevance, reliability, comparability, understandability, none of the above. हमेशा क्रेडिटेड ही पूछते हैं क्या? सो देयर इज नो सच रूल लाइक दैट. ओके, वो डेबिट क्या हो रहा है वो भी पूछ सकते हैं, क्रेडिट क्या हो रहा है वो भी पूछ सकता है ना. तो इसलिए आपको पूरी एंट्री पता होनी चाहिए, तभी मैं हर क्वेश्चन में पूरी एंट्री कर रहा हूं. यूजुअली जर्नल एंट्रीज पे बहुत ज्यादा क्वेश्चन नहीं आते हैं एग्जाम के अंदर. ठीक है, अभी तक का ट्रेंड ये बोलता है. आते भी हैं तो आपके वो शेयर कैपिटल ट्रांजैक्शन, बोनस इशू, राइट इशू, वहां से आते हैं. इसॉप, वहां से क्वेश्चंस आते हैं जर्नल एंट्री पे. शेयर प्रीमियम अकाउंट की क्या एंट्री होती है, उस तरह के क्वेश्चन ज्यादा आते हैं rather than these types of questions, but I'm just covering it. आ सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं आते. Very good, everyone. The correct choice here will be reliability, right? Reliability is the correct choice. Option B. Perfect. Next one. Is the total of debit and the credit side of the trial balance same? So if you are preparing a trial balance, can we conclude that the debit side will always be equal to credit side? Always. Do you think that the debit side will always be equal to credit side? Options are in front of you. So do you think that it will happen always? Debit is equal to credit. If you think always, then why you are making a trial balance? Why you guys are making a trial balance? If you guys think that it will always match, then why do you make the trial balance? Acha, tell me the purpose of making trial balance. Tell me the purpose of making a trial balance. Checking the arithmetical accuracy, right? Checking the arithmetical accuracy. But you guys are saying that it will always match. It will always match. So if it always matches, then why you are even checking the arithmetical accuracy? That's my question. If you think that it will always match, why you guys are even sparing some time to make the trial balance? If it is matching, then you are always accurate arithmetically. Can I say that? Don't you feel that sometimes the trial balance may differ? अरे तभी तो हम बना रहे हैं. चलो मेरी बात समझना. आप लोगों को एक 10 MCQ का क्वेश्चन पेपर दिया मैंने. ठीक है, 10 क्वेश्चंस हैं उसके अंदर. 10 क्वेश्चंस हैं उसके अंदर. तो आपने कंप्लीट कर लिया. नाउ टेल मी वेदर आई शुड चेक दिस और नॉट. Obviously I need to check this. Why? To ensure accuracy. That's why we are preparing the trial balance. कि आपने जर्नल सही से किया कि नहीं किया, लेजर सही से किया कि नहीं किया. सही है, इसीलिए तो ट्रायल बैलेंस बना रहे हैं. सर उसमें हमसे गलती हो ही नहीं सकती. Is it like that? It will always match? No. It may match, it may not match. The whole idea is we are preparing the trial balance to check the arithmetical accuracy. सर हर बार मैच होना ही चाहिए. अरे ऐसा जरूरी थोड़ी है. तभी तो तुम बना रहे हो ताकि पता चले कि चेक हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है. The correct answer here is option A. It's not like that it will always be same. Sometimes it may differ also for good reasons. For good reasons it may differ also. अरे कुछ गलत लिख दिया आपने, कुछ गलत लिख दिया. जर्नल करते टाइम गलत पास कर दी, गलत अमाउंट से पास कर दी. लेजर में पोस्ट करते टाइम, क्लासिफाई करते टाइम गलत कुछ कर दिया. Right? You made a wrong posting in ledger. So because of that, your trial balance total may differ. Your trial balance total may differ. Acha, tell me, What happens when there is a difference in trial balance? What happens when there is a difference in trial balance? What happens when there is a difference in trial balance? I create a suspense account. What do? I create a suspense account. अरे 10,000 रुपए का difference आ रहा है. Now I don't know why the difference is. So let's talk about the difference later on. We'll check it from the client. Say for example, Nancy is a businessman, right? Nancy is doing a business, let's suppose, of selling pen. Nancy is doing business of selling pen. I am chartered accountant of Nancy. Now I was preparing the trial balance. But there was a difference in it. So I'll directly transfer that difference to suspense account. Why? Because I don't know कि किस वजह से डिफरेंस आया. बाद में नैन्सी से पूछ लूंगा मिलके, बाद में उनसे कॉल करके मिलके पूछ लूंगा कि ये सस्पेंस अकाउंट में 10,000 आ रहा है, क्यों आ रहा है, राइट? सो दैट वी कैन रेक्टिफाई द सेम मिस्टेक. Sir, good reason as such, you pass the wrong journal entry. Or when you are posting the journal entry to ledger, you are recording the entries in journal, you are classifying that in ledger. So from journal to ledger, you have to post the entries. Maybe you posted it with the wrong amount. Maybe the classification is not correct. There are so many reasons that your trial balance is not matching. Entry करी rent account debit to cash account 10,000 rupees. जब लेजर बना रहा था कैश का, तो वहां पे 10,000 की जगह 1,000 पोस्ट कर दिया गलती से. 10,000 की जगह 1,000 पोस्ट कर दिया गलती से. सो क्या ट्रायल बैलेंस मैच हो जाएगा? नहीं होगा. अरे रेंट को 10,000 से डेबिट कर दिया, ट्रायल बैलेंस को 1,000 रुपए से पोस्ट कर दिया, तो 9,000 का डिफरेंस आ जाएगा, राइट? सो बहुत सारे रीजन हो सकते हैं. ऑल द रीजंस आर रिलेटेड टू अर्थमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी. सो ऐसा नहीं है कि ट्रायल बैलेंस हमेशा मैच होगा. हमेशा मैच हो रहा होता तो मैं क्यों बना रहा होता? चेक करते हैं हम. We make trial balance to check the arithmetical accuracy. Okay. Next one. Which of the following is not shown under the exceptional items in the P&L account? So guys, I gave you the entire list of the exceptional and extraordinary items. Let's see how many of you have actually read that list from the PPT. We discussed this concept in the classes as well. There are some items that can be exceptional. There are some items that are not exceptional. They are extraordinary. Which of the following is not an exceptional item? Not an exceptional item. Now you can answer this question only if you have covered the entire list of exceptional and extraordinary items. The correct answer here is sale of investment in subsidiary or associate. This is not an exceptional item because that's an extraordinary item. Here is the list. Some of the examples that you need to know of exceptional items and extraordinary items. Okay. So please do cover it by today itself. Just try to read each and every item of exceptional and extraordinary which is there in the examples. Next one. A Limited has a 35,000 accounts receivable. That means A Limited has to receive 35,000 from Mr. Mohan. Mohan, who is a debtor of A Limited. A Limited has to receive 35,000 from Mohan, right? So obviously Mohan क्या हो गए? Debtor हो गए. On 22nd January, Mohan makes a partial payment of 21,000. So out of 35,000, 21,000 you have received on 22nd January. The journal entry made on 22nd January by A Limited to record this transaction includes what? Just ignore the question. Tell me the journal entry. Tell me the journal entry. When you actually sold the goods to Mohan on credit, sold goods to Mohan on credit, what journal entry you would have passed? Mohan account debit, Mohan account debit 35,000 to sales account 35,000. Now Mohan has paid you 21,000. Now Mohan has paid you 21,000. Mohan has paid you 21,000. What will happen in that case? What will happen in that case? You will receive cash account debit because you received cash, 21,000 cash account debit. To what? To Mohan, who is my debtor. Earlier, I have to take 35,000. Now I have to just take the rest of the amount, 21,000. I have received. Rest of the 14,000 I am yet to receive. Yet of that rest of the 14,000 I am yet to receive. So उतने से तो मोहन को कम कर दो जितना उसने दे दिया है. So 21,000 से मोहन अकाउंट क्रेडिट. पहले डेबिट किया था 35,000 से, अब उसको क्रेडिट कर देंगे. A credit to cash received, never. A debit to cash received 14,000, never. A credit to accounts receivable, that means Mohan account 21,000. This is correct. This is correct. देखो मोहन को क्रेडिट कर रहे हैं ना 21,000 से, वही लिखा हुआ है आपके क्वेश्चन में, वही लिखा हुआ है आपके क्वेश्चन में, राइट? परफेक्ट. नाउ लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग. कितने रुपए का कैश आ रहा है? 21,000 रुपीज का पैसा आ रहा है, कैश आ रहा है. पहला ऑप्शन तो वैसे ही गलत हो गया क्योंकि यहां आप कैश को क्रेडिट कर रहे हो. दिस कैन नेवर बी द करेक्ट ऑप्शन. डेबिट कैश, चलो डेबिट कैश सही हो सकता है, पर 21,000 से करूंगा ना, 14,000 से क्यों करूंगा? ये भी गलत है. क्रेडिट अकाउंट्स रिसीवेबल by 21,000, that is also correct. अरे वो कैश दे रहा है तो रिड्यूस द बैलेंस ना by 21,000. कि अभी भी उसको बोलोगे नहीं नहीं तुम तो 35,000 रुपए दे. अरे भाई दे दिए ना तुमको 21,000 रुपीज, राइट? सो ऑप्शन बी हियर इज द करेक्ट वन. नेक्स्ट वन. Which of the following statement about the provisions is incorrect? You have to identify the incorrect statement here. Take your time and then answer the question. कोई जल्दी नहीं है. It is a present obligation arising from past events. Do you think that we need to create provision because of past events? And is it really a present obligation? If it is a present obligation, then why even I make a provision? Directly treat it as a liability, na? Why you are even making a provision if you think that it is a present obligation? This statement is not correct. Option A is the correct choice here. Why? Because I have to identify the incorrect statement. It is a liability estimated with some degree of uncertainty. I'm not quite certain about that. So there is a slight degree of some uncertainty. It is an amount set aside from the company's profit. Option C. So if you have a profitability of 1,000 rupees, so don't you think when you set aside some profit for the provisioning purpose, you are setting aside some amount for provisioning purpose. In both reserves and in both provision, we set aside an amount. But the difference is provision is a charge against profit. Provision is a charge against profit, but reserve is an appropriation of profit. Reserve is an appropriation of profit, right? That is the difference. It appears in the expense in the income statement. It may be short term or long term. So all the statements are correct except statement number A. Definitely, I can understand that there can be confusion between C and A. There can be definitely confusion between C and A, but I can say that ज्यादा खराब ऑप्शन यहाँ पे A है जो क्लियरली गलत दिख रहा है. ठीक है, जो क्लियरली गलत दिख रहा है. हाउएवर सी ऑप्शन के अंदर थोड़ी बेटर क्लैरिटी दे सकते थे जिससे वो क्लियरली आपको सही लगता. ओके, सो ये सेट असाइड वाला जो सेट असाइड वाला जो टर्म लिखा हुआ है उससे डेफिनेटली कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट हो सकता है, बट ए ऑप्शन बिल्कुल ही यहाँ पे गलत है. ठीक है. Which of the following account has a credit balance? Now take your time and tell me which one is the account having credit balance. Carriage inward, carriage outward. I sell pen, right? I sell pen. So Sumesh ordered 1 lakh pieces of pen. So I need a vehicle. That will be transporting the pen. So carriage outward. I sold 1 lakh pen to Sumesh. I have to incur this transportation cost for that. That's what carriage outward is. That's an expense. It has a debit balance. All the expenses do have a debit balance. When I talk about carriage inwards, now say for example, I bought some pen from Vaishali. So a truck will come. I need to pay the expenses of this truck. That will also be an expense. Expenses do have debit balance. So now I can say that we are left with A and D. Return inward. What do you mean by return inward? Return inward. Return inward, return outward. What do you mean by return inward? Let's suppose you sold something. Let's suppose you sold something to the customer. The customer is returning the product to you. The customer is returning the product to you. Right? The customer is returning the product to you. So can I say that the return is coming in? The return is coming in. You sold something to the customer. Now the customer is returning that product to you. What will be? What this return will be? Return inward or return outward? What do you think? Return inward, right? Return is coming in. How the return will come in? अरे पहले बाहर तो जाना चाहिए goods, फिर return inwards आएगा ना, right? फिर ही तो return inwards आएगा. तो पहले आपने sales किया होगा. You have sold something on credit or maybe cash basis to the customer, and then the customer is giving that product to you because he don't want it due to n number of reasons. So that will be a return inward. So sales is having a credit balance. Obviously, if the product is returned to you, then you need to debit it. So इसका भी debit balance होगा. बचा क्या? Return outward, जिसका credit balance होगा. जिसका credit balance होगा. Right? Sir, what do you mean by return outward? अरे return बाहर जाएगा. बाहर जा रहा है, return कर रहे हैं outward. उससे पहले अंदर तो आना चाहिए ना. So you must have purchased something. You didn't like the product. So what you are doing is you are returning that product. So that is returning outward. Returning outward. So परचेज का बैलेंस डेबिट होता है, तो रिटर्न करोगे तो उसका बैलेंस क्या हो जाएगा? रिटर्न आउटवर्ड का क्रेडिट बैलेंस हो जाएगा. दैट्स व्हाई डी इज द करेक्ट चॉइस. Amazon से तुम कुछ प्रोडक्ट मंगवाते हो, नहीं समझ में आता. फ्लिपकार्ट से कुछ मंगवाते हो, नहीं समझ में आता. मिंत्रा से, मीशो से, पता नहीं किस किस से क्या क्या मंगवाते हो, नहीं समझ में आता. So what do? You return it. That's called as return outward for you. That's called as return outward for you. Right? Next one. Overhauling expenses of 25,000 for the engine of a motor car to get a better fuel efficiency. That's a capital expenditure, right? That's a capital expenditure. Which one of the following is the first book in which the transactions of a business unit are recorded? That's easy, right? Journal, which is also called as the book of primary entry. Next one. Which of the following is generally not available for financing a buyback of share? Which of the following is not available for financing a buyback of share? Capital reserve, right? We don't use capital reserve for the buyback. We don't use capital reserve for the buyback. Acha, in this question, we call journal as the primary book of entry. Primary book of entry, right? What do we call ledger? Can you tell me what do we call ledger? What do we call ledger? Principal book, yes, that's correct. Principal book. What else? What else? We also call it as final book of entry. We also call it as final book of entry, okay? So principal book and final book, both are correct for ledger, right? Acha, can you also tell me which is the book in which the transactions are chronologically recorded? That's journal, right? Which book is for the classification? Which book is for the classification? That's ledger. Which shows the account level information? Which shows the account level information? Which shows the account level information? Any idea about this one? Account level data or information. Which book shows the account level data or information? That's ledger. Because here we create accounts like RAM account, Sham account, cash account, bank account, and so on. But if I talk about journal, it shows the entry level information. It shows the entry level information, right? Journal is for the entry level information. Ledger is for the account level data. Next one. Which financial statement represents the accounting equation asset is equal to liability plus capital or owner's equity? That's balance sheet, right? That's balance sheet. That's balance sheet. अच्छा, किसी को लगे सर ऑल ऑफ दी अबव भी हो सकता है, तो भाई इनकम स्टेटमेंट के अंदर असेट इज इक्वल टू लायबिलिटी प्लस कैपिटल नहीं हो सकता, है ना? कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में भी नहीं हो सकता, फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में भी नहीं हो सकता. नेक्स्ट वन, अ कंपनी makes a payment of 2 lakh rupees towards an outstanding inventory invoice of 3,70,000. What is the effect on the accounting equation? What is the effect on accounting equation? There is an outstanding inventory invoice. You have to pay that. That means must be your creditor, must be a part of your liability. The total value is 3,70,000. As of now, you are making a payment of 2 lakh rupees. You are making a payment of 2 lakh rupees. A very simple, a very straight question from the accounting equation. What will happen to your accounting equation? Asset is equal to liability plus capital. The correct choice will be option B. Your cash will go down, your cash account or your bank account will go down by 2 lakh rupees. At the same time, you are paying your creditor, so the creditor balance will also go down by 2 lakh rupees. So option B here is the correct choice. Option B here is the correct choice. Okay. In a business firm, the assets of the business are valued on the basis of their intrinsic value rather than realizable value. This accounting is based on which concept? We don't consider realizable value. Why? The correct answer is going concern. If I am no more a going concern, then I'll start valuing my assets on the basis of realizable value, right? Next one, what does the term free float refer to in the context of stock markets or in the context of even accounting? Free float. The correct choice here will be option A. Option A, the percentage of company's total shares that are not logged in and are available for public trading. Right? This is the correct choice. So say for example, total 1 lakh shares we have in the company. Out of that, the promoters are holding 60,000 shares. Rest of the shares that are freely floating in the market must be 40,000 only. 40% is the free float, I can say. Why? Because I can't trade these shares, right? I can easily trade these shares. The promoters are holding 60,000. तो promoter तो रोज रोज बेचेंगे नहीं. The promoters won't be selling their shares. The rest of the shares are called as free float. Next one. Which account is the odd one out? Which account is the odd one out? Here the odd one out will be inventories of material, right? Why? Because that's not a non-current asset. Rest of the things are non-current assets. Next one. Which term describes the market price of a share before a right issue is announced? Which term describes the market price of a share before the right issue is announced? That's called as come right market price, right? And the moment we are done with the right issue, we call it as X right market price. Next one, which of the following is represented by an estimated amount to meet a loss or expense in the near future? That's easy. That is called as provision, right? We call this as provision, which is the estimated amount to meet a future loss or expense in the future. So that's why we create provisions. The debts written off as bad, if recovered subsequently, then what will happen in that case? What will happen in that case? Let's suppose I had to take 1 lakh rupees from Sumesh. He's my debtor. I had to take 1 lakh rupee. Right? So for example, it was a bad debt. It was a bad debt. Complete amount was a bad debt. So what I did is I just passed the entry bad debts account debit to debtors by 1 lakh rupees. I have written off here Sumesh from my books of accounts. Why? Because I won't be able to recover the money. So bad debts account debit to debtors will be the journal entry. But after some time, Sumesh paid me the money. Sumesh paid me the money. Now what will happen? What will happen in that case? What journal entry I'll be passing at that time? cash account debit 1 lakh to bad debts recovered. To bad debts recovered. So it is credited to the bad debts recovered account. Okay. Because now I am able to recover the money. Next one. A sale of goods to Ram for cash should be debited to what account? Aram se take your time. Sale of goods to Ram for cash will be debited to which account? Cash account, right? Don't debit Ram account, we will debit cash account because we have sold the goods to Ram for cash. ठीक है, तो पैसा आ रहा है तो हमको पैसे से मतलब होता है, पर्सन से मतलब नहीं होता, राइट? अगर पैसा नहीं आ रहा होता तो हम एंट्री करते राम अकाउंट डेबिट टू सेल्स, but because we are receiving the money, so we will do the entry cash account debit to sales. So cash account will be debited here. Perfect. Next one. Advance amount received from customer is not considered as sale. It is based on which concept here? It is based on which concept here? I received advance of 10 lakh rupees from Sumesh. I won't be considering that as my sales. Why? Because of which concept? Because of the accrual concept of accounting. Why? Because transactions are recorded in the period in which they takes place, not when settlement in money takes place. Conservatism is more related to prudence, which states that recognize all the losses and expenses, but don't recognize all the future gains and income, right? So this is a money that I have received right now. I'm not receiving it in the near future. I am receiving it right now. So it's more related to accrual. It's more related to accrual. I'm not receiving this money in future. I have received the money. Now, why not I'm considering it as my sales? Because of accrual, or I can rather say realization concept. Why? Because I never delivered the goods and services to Sumesh. I never delivered the goods and services to Sumesh. So that's why it is as good as a deferred revenue for me. It's as good as a deferred revenue for me. So यहाँ better choice accrual हो जाएगा. बाकी realization concept होता, right? Realization concept होता, क्यों होता? क्योंकि I never delivered the goods and services, so I recognize revenue only when I deliver the goods and services, which is in line with Accounting Standard 9 as well as Indian Accounting Standard 115, revenue from contracts with customer, right? Advance को हम कभी भी revenue treat नहीं करते. Which among the following best describes the calls in arrear for a company issuing capital? Asset, liability, expense, revenue, none of the above. Calls in arrear. I'm yet to receive the money. So I asked 10 rupees from all of you, but you paid me only 8 rupees. Rest is a call in arrear, so I'll be receiving it later on. That will be a kind of asset for me. What does a decrease in the cash conversion cycle indicate? So I think this is a repeated question. We have done this in the previous class only. Faster conversion of asset to cash is the correct answer. We have already done it. That's why I'm skipping. Acha, tell me this one. Which of the following is not an accounting equation? Not an accounting equation. Option D, we can clearly see that asset is equal to liability minus capital. No. Rest of the things, they have just realigned the equation. Rest of the options are correct, but option D is not correct. Okay, option D is not correct. The rest other options are realigned. The ultimate equation is asset is equal to liability plus capital only, right? Asset is equal to liability plus capital only. So guys, that's all from my end for today. I'll be giving you some questions for the homework purpose as well. Please do try those questions as well. You'll find those questions at the end of the PPT. and then we will be continuing with our discussion in the fourth session related to MCQs on commerce and accounting. So thank you so much guys. See you soon and keep on practicing. और बहुत जल्दी जल्दी रिवीजन करना है, बहुत टाइम नहीं लगाना आप चीजों के अंदर. कोई ऐसा टॉपिक हो जो लग रहा हो कि यार सर समझ नहीं आ रहा है या फिर बहुत इश्यू आ रहा है, बेसिक पढ़ो, क्वेश्चन करो, खत्म करो, आगे चलो, राइट? दैट शुड बी दी अप्रोच. अभी दैट शुड बी दी अप्रोच. अभी किसी भी चैप्टर को डिटेल में लेके 2-4 घंटे हम नहीं बैठ सकते, राइट? ऐसा नहीं कि आप एक ही चैप्टर को बैठ के 4-4 5-5 घंटे लेके बैठ रहे हो. दैट अप्रोच वोंट वर्क. फटाफट से ज्यादा चैप्टर्स कवर करो, राइट? क्वेश्चंस इजी नहीं थे यार. एक चीज बताता हूँ. अच्छा, हैप्पी न्यू ईयर सबको. सबसे पहली बात तो क्वेश्चंस इजी दूंगा तो बोलोगे सर क्वेश्चंस बहुत इजी है. डिफिकल्ट दूंगा तो बोलोगे सर क्वेश्चंस बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. तो दैट विल ऑलवेज वर्क. सो क्वेश्चंस इजी डेफिनेटली नहीं थे. क्वेश्चंस एनीवेयर अराउंड मॉडरेट लेवल पे थे. प्लस आज की क्लास में कुछ थोड़े से टफ वाले क्वेश्चंस भी थे, राइट? यूजुअली फेज 1 के अंदर इजी टू मॉडरेट लेवल ही आता है, बट मुझे आपको मॉडरेट लेवल टू टफ लेवल पे प्रिपेयर करवाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपको सिर्फ फेज 1 नहीं निकालना, आपको सेबी ग्रेड ए एग्जाम निकालना है. सही है? और नोबडी नोज कि मॉडरेट टू टफ लेवल कभी फेज 1 में भी आ जाए. अभी तक उनने नहीं दिया है, बट देयर इज ओनली वन ट्रेंड इन द रेगुलेटरी बॉडी एग्जामिनेशन, दैट देयर इज नो ट्रेंड. सही है? सो ट्रेंड के अगर हम ट्रेंड को चेस करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली वो बहुत इशू हो जाएगा, थोड़ी सी बायसनेस हो जाएगी. हो सकता है वो मॉडरेट टू डिफिकल्ट लेवल पूछ ले. और ये सोचो ना कि अगर 3 डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन भी आ जाते हैं, 3 या 4 डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन भी आ जाते हैं, और आप वो 4 डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस कर पा रहे हो, प्लस आपका कॉम्पिटिटर वो डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस नहीं कर पा रहा है, तभी तो आपको एज मिलेगा. सारे सिंपल क्वेश्चन आ गए, राइट? सो फिर तो एग्जाम में आप बैठो, मैं बैठूं या कोई और स्टूडेंट बैठे, क्या फर्क रह जाएगा? सब सही करके आओगे. सारे ही सिंपल आ गए तो थोड़ा तो मॉडरेट लेवल, डिफिकल्ट लेवल आना ही चाहिए, राइट? The presentation and the disclosure requirements of a company are prescribed by which schedule of Companies Act? Here we are talking about the Companies Act 2013. You just have to tell that the presentation requirement and the disclosure requirement of a company are prescribed by which schedule. So there are so many schedules in the Companies Act. Which schedule is related to the presentation and disclosure part of the financial statements specifically? Third, second, first, fourth, fifth? What do you think? Now this is a very straight question. Why? Because in the financial statement class, it is the very first thing that we discuss, that as per schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013, we prepare the balance sheet, P&L account, right? We present the balance sheet, we disclose the balance sheet and P&L account, right? And the financial statements of the company. Now please do remember the part also that we discussed in the classes. Next one, a company purchases car for 3 lakh rupees. The company paid 50,000 in cash, in the borrowing 2,50,000. For the car purpose, the company must have taken a loan of 2,50,000. What will be the effect on the accounting equation here? What will be the effect here on accounting equation? The company has purchased a car for 3 lakh rupees by paying cash 50,000. Rest will be borrowed from the bank, right? Rest will be borrowed. So I can say that the car balance is increasing by 3 lakh, but at the same time you are paying 50,000 in cash. So the increase in your assets is 2,50,000. At the same time, the liability is also increasing by 2,50,000, right? So option C here is the correct one. The total assets are increasing by 2,50,000 and the total liabilities are also increasing by 2,50,000. We do have the accounting equation. Asset is equal to liability plus capital, right? So the assets are increasing by 2,50,000 and the liabilities are also increasing by 2,50,000, right? Next one. Under the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act, the assets and liabilities are to be disclosed based on what? Current, non-current, financial, non-financial, owned or not owned, both A and B, or all of the above. A very simple one again. These kind of questions usually you can expect in the phase 1 examination. Sometimes they do also come in phase 2. And the correct choice here will be current and non-current, right? As per the Companies Act in Schedule 3, we classify the assets and liabilities based on the current and non-current bifurcation. Next one. What is the maximum limit of share buyback as a percentage of total paid up capital and free reserves in a financial year? An overlapping question of Commerce and Accountancy and Companies Act. This is a overlapping question. Maximum limit of share buyback. We all know that it is 25%, right? And can you guys tell me what is the maximum limit allowed by a board resolution? I can do a buyback just with the help of board resolution up to a maximum limit. Yes, very good, Vishali, 10%, right? Perfect, John and Vishali. So here I can say that option D is correct. 25% is the maximum limit. But if we talk about the buyback, which is permissible with the help of the BOD resolution, then that is 10%, right? We have discussed this in the Commerce and Accounting as well as the Companies Act. Next one. Trade payables as per Schedule 3 will include what? Trade payables as per Schedule 3 will include what? The correct choice here will be bills payable, right? That's a more specific heading. It includes bills payable. Trade payables means your creditors plus your bills payable, right? When we talk about the trade payables, it is nothing but creditors and the bills payable. But when we talk about the trade receivables, it is debtors and the bills receivable, right? And the bills receivable. Next one. Accounting Standard 13 is related to which of the following item? Government grants, investments, amalgamation, employee benefit, or borrowing cost. What do you think? That is quite straight that it relates to the accounting for the investments. And please do cover all the Ind AS, all the accounting standards, number and names that I have given you in the paid classes can be super important for the examination. Okay. Next one. A company is required to maintain its books of accounts at what place? At the registered office, largest branch office, managing director's residence. That's hilarious. Option A or B, or place as may be prescribed by board. The correct answer here is registered office. Registered office is the correct choice, right? Option A. If you are a corporate entity, you can keep your books of accounts at the registered office. Next one. Can you tell me the body which is actually issuing the accounting standards? Accounting standards. ICAI, MCA, SEBI, RBI, FRC. Now that's a usual confusion. When we talk about accounting standard, this is ICAI. When we talk about accounting standard, it is ICAI. Okay. So yes, ICAI, but Ind AS are notified by MCA. Okay. Ind AS are notified by MCA. Next one. Mr. Hari, a stock broking firm received 1,50,000 as premium for forward contract entered for purchase of equity share. How you will classify the amount in the cash flow statement of the firm? Operating, investing, financing, non-cash, none of the above. Mr. Hari is a stockbroking firm. Mr. Hari is a stockbroking firm. Taking these kind of possessions on the behalf of client, I will say, is a operating activity, not an investing activity. Mr. Hari is not making an investment, right? He's not making an investment. It's a part and parcel activity of his business. Why? Because this is a stockbroking firm. This is a stockbroking firm. So the classification of the cash flow statements totally depend on the fact what your principal activity is. Next one. Revenue and expenses must be recorded in the accounting period in which they were earned or incurred. Now, similar kind of question we have done in the paid class as well. No matter when the cash is received or the cash outlay has occurred. This is followed as per which of the following accounting method? Option A is the correct choice. Why? Because accrual basis को हम इस नाम से भी बोलते हैं. So this is nothing but accrual basis only. So don't get confused. Okay, this is accrual only. Perfect. Next one. Securities premium account is shown on the liability side in the balance sheet under the heading reserves and surplus, current liability, share capital, share application money pending allotment. None of the above. The correct choice is reserves and surplus, right? It is a kind of reserve only. So we show it in the reserves and surplus. Acha, tell me where you will show the share application money pending allotment in balance sheet. Where you will show share application money pending allotment in balance sheet. Share capital, liability side, share capital. Okay, so I'm writing options here. Share capital, option number 1. To liability side. But where in the liability side? Where in the liability side? Liability side बोलना as a diplomatic answer. Sumesh, separate heading. Okay. After share capital के बाद separate heading. Okay. So Vaishali and Sumesh, separate heading. Nancy, John, share capital. One more answer I can see. Liability side. Okay. Other current liabilities. Fourth option. Other current liabilities. So I can see a lot of confusion here. Let me tell you one thing. This will be a separate heading. This will be a separate heading. In share capital, equity share capital and preference share capital will come, guys. Share application money, pending allotment. I haven't even allotted it. How can I come? How can I just classify this heading in the share capital? The allotment is still pending. अरे आपने allotment ही नहीं किया, आप उसको share capital कैसे बता सकते हो? So share capital is a wrong answer. Liability side, I can say is a correct one, but is a diplomatic one. I will give preference to separate heading, right? Separate heading. If you have a look at the balance sheet, the first thing in the liability side is your shareholders fund. We do have 3 classifications in it. Then the second heading is share application money pending allotment. So this is the second heading in the schedule 3 balance sheet of a corporate entity, right? Why not other current liabilities, sir? You taught us other current liabilities. Look, the concept was different. Please try to understand. Let's suppose I issued 1 lakh worth of shares. I issued 1 lakh worth of shares in the market, but I received the application of 1,20,000. I received the application of 1,20,000. Now there are two bifurcations in it. 1 lakh rupees is nothing but share application money pending allotment. Is nothing but share application money pending allotment. I have taken the application money from all of you, but I'm yet to make the allotment. This won't be share capital. This will be a separate heading in the liability side. Separate heading in the liability side. Rest of the 20,000 rupees due to oversubscription, I can't allot the shares. Whenever I am making the allotment, I can't allot more than 1 lakh rupee. So this needs to be refunded. So that's why we show it in other current liabilities. Why? Because that's a current liability. I need to refund that immediately as soon as possible. So it will be a part of other current liability, but this excess 20,000 up to 1 lakh, it will go to share application money pending allotment. Okay. Acha, can you also tell me about money received against share warrants? What about money received against share warrant? Where to classify this in the balance sheet? Anyone? Money received against share warrant. So there is no such short form like this that I have written on the screen, but still I'm just writing it for the sake of simplicity. You can call me a bit of कामचोर कि सर इतना बड़ा लिखने की जगह आप इतना सा लिख रहे हो, पर तुमको समझ में आना चाहिए. I can see most of the answers as share capital. So option number 1, share capital. Let's see. Any other opinion? Anyone? Anybody having a contradictory answer to this? Earlier also I told you that you guys will be super confused just before the examination between these concepts. Why? Because they are actually complex, no doubt at all. But you have studied the concepts very well. You'll be able to answer this. Okay. Share capital, shareholders fund, second one. Any other opinion? Anyone? The correct answer here is, guys, shareholders fund. This is money received against share warrant. As of now, this is not share capital. I told you in the classes that as of now, this is money received against share warrant. I have issued a share warrant. This is not share capital, but this is a part of shareholders fund because it is equivalent to share capital only, but it is not as of now share capital. When in exchange of this warrant, I'll be issuing my share capital, then it will be share capital. Till then, it is shareholders fund. It is shareholders fund. Here you can see in shareholders fund, we have three categories: share capital, reserves and surplus, money received against share warrant. Money received against share warrant. So this is a part of shareholders fund and not share capital. And you can see this as a separate heading, share application money pending allotment. Okay. So don't get confused. Share warrant is a part of shareholders fund, not share capital. Next one. Which of the following item is typically included on an income statement? Deferred revenue, current liabilities, loss on sale of equipment, cash received from customer, dividend paid to stockholders. Loss on sale of equipment. Loss on sale of equipment, right? Which of the following are not a part of liquid assets or quick assets? A theory question from the chapter Ratio Analysis. Theory question from the chapter Ratio Analysis. Prepaid expenses, right? They are not a part of quick assets. Can you also tell me the rest of the things that are not part of quick assets? First one, prepaid expenses. What about others? What are the other elements that won't be treated as quick assets? Inventory is very good. What else? Advanced tax, very good. So you can say advanced tax, inventories, prepaid expenses, or any other item which is not liquid, right? Which is not liquid. Perfect. Or any other item which is not liquid. Acha, can you guys tell me? I am calculating current ratio. So I have to calculate current assets. Will I be taking prepaid expense in this? Anyone? Will I be considering prepaid expenses in this? Yes or no? I am calculating current ratio. So I have to calculate current asset. Do I have to take the prepaid expenses also in the current assets? Yes, I have to take. Right? But if I am calculating quick assets, in the assets I won't consider prepaid expense. Right? So can I say prepaid expense? If I am calculating current assets, it will come. If I am calculating quick assets, it will not come. It will not come. Let's turn the tables now. Preliminary expense. What will happen in case of current asset? Anyone? Do I have to take preliminary expenses in current assets? I won't be taking that. What about quick assets? Do I have to take preliminary expenses in calculation of quick assets? No. Because these are fictitious assets. Fictitious assets. Some more examples of fictitious assets can be losses not written off, expenses not written off. These are also fictitious assets. Discount on issue of shares, debentures not written off. Discount on issue not written off. These are some of the examples of fake assets, fictitious assets. Acha, here the correct answer will be prepaid expenses. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct? First statement, reserves are part of shareholders fund. Revaluation reserve is an unrealized reserve. Third statement, reserves and surplus is always a positive figure. Fourth statement, dividend cannot be paid out of committed reserves. Which of the following statements are correct? Option D, A, B, and D statement. So reserves are part of shareholders fund. Yes. If I talk about shareholders fund, I have share capital. Then I have reserves and surplus. So definitely reserves and surplus is a part of shareholders fund. Then we have money received against share warrants. So this statement is correct. This statement is correct. Revaluation reserve is an unrealized reserve. That's true. If my assets are 10,000, the value went up to 12,000. So I created 2000 in my revaluation reserve. Have I realized this one? No, because that's completely non-cash. This is completely unrealized. I will realize it when I actually sell the asset. So this is also correct. Reserves and surplus is a positive figure. That is not correct. Maybe the reserves and surplus total is 100 crore, but what if I faced losses of 120 crore? In that case, the reserve and surplus will be a negative figure, and still we will be showing it on the liability side only. Reserves and surplus negative 20 crore. This we have discussed when we studied the chapter financial statements, right? So this is not correct. Dividend cannot be paid out of committed reserve. Now what is a committed reserve? I've already created a reserve for a particular purpose. So why I will distribute dividend from that particular reserve? Right, next one. As per accounting standard 3, which is related to cash flow statement, cash received by manufacturing company from sale of shares of ABC Limited should be classified as what kind of activity? Over to you. I have sold shares of ABC Limited. I am a manufacturing entity. I am a manufacturing company. I have sold shares of ABC Limited. That you guys have to decide. Have they anywhere stated in the question that the manufacturing company and ABC Limited are the same company? No, so they are not. And even if they have not stated and some confusion is there in the examination, I can say they have written sale of shares, not the issue of shares. Sale of shares. Right? So I am a manufacturing company. I have some shares of ABC Limited. I sold those shares, so that's a investing activity for me. That's a investing activity for me. Option C. Option C. Next one. Debtors and creditors should be classified as what type of account in the traditional accounting as per your understanding? Here we are talking about debtors and creditor. Personal, real, nominal, artificial account, representative account. Debtors and creditors. That's a personal account, right? That's a personal account. Option A here is the correct choice. Now this is from the traditional concept of accounting, which is very, very important for your examination. Traditional rule of accounting is very, very important. Okay. You don't have to make journal entries by using the traditional rule, but so many questions are there in the SEBI Grade A examination that they're asking from this particular traditional accounting concept. Next one. Earning per share. Earning per share EPS is to be disclosed in which of the following section of the financial statement? Earning per share. Where to disclose EPS? So while studying the financial statement, we have studied two terminologies, earning per share and diluted earning per share, EPS and diluted EPS. Where you guys have seen these two terminologies? Yes, it is there in the statement of profit and loss account. It is there in the statement of profit and loss account, earning per share and diluted earning per share. Okay. So, Acha, can you also tell me the difference between EPS and diluted EPS? Anybody? Earning per share and diluted EPS. What is the difference between these two terminologies? EPS and diluted EPS. So if we take an example, let's suppose the earnings available for equity shareholders is 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees the earning which is available for equity shareholders. The number of equity shares are 10,000 rupees. 10,000 rupees, right? And let's suppose I do have some convertible securities like convertible debentures or compulsorily convertible preference shares, compulsorily convertible debentures. For example, 2000. Now, when I talk about earning per share, 1 lakh rupees is my earning. How many number of shares do we have? 10,000. So, earning available for equity shareholder divided by number of shareholders, that is 10 rupees. But when I talk about diluted EPS, I'm thinking that what if after some time these convertible securities will also be a part of my equity share community, right? I have convertible securities. Let's suppose I have compulsorily convertible debentures or compulsorily convertible preference shares. So can I say that in the near future they are also going to have equity shares in my company? Let's suppose they are going to have 2000 equity shares in my company. So let's dilute the EPS right now for the presentation purpose. So here I can say 10,000 are my equity shareholders plus 2000 are my convertible shares that I am going to give. Later on, I am going to give equity shares to these convertible debentures or convertible preference shares. So here my diluted EPS will be 8.33. Sir, what is the use of calculating diluted EPS? So for example, Vaishali is my equity shareholder. Vaishali is my equity shareholder. So don't you think that if my equity shareholder is the owner of the company, I have to show them clearly that as of now your earning per share is 10 rupee, but the moment I convert some convertible debentures or convertible preference shares, your earning will be diluted to 8.33. Your earning will be diluted to 8.33, right? So it's just a methodology of presenting the things to the owners of the company कि अभी आप 10 रुपए कमा रहे हो पर शेयर, बट फ्यूचर में आप 8.33 ही कमाओगे पर शेयर. Why? Because there will be more and more shareholders in the near future. I will convert the compulsorily convertible preference shares and debentures also into equity. So it's just a way of presenting. Okay, so that's the meaning of diluted EPS. Next one, what is the effect on the quick ratio when a company successfully collect cash from the trade receivable? Take your time and then answer the question. What is the effect on the quick ratio when the company successfully collects cash from its trade receivable? Cash and trade receivables both are my quick assets. Both are my quick assets. If I realize cash from my trade receivables, so एक end पे trade receivables will go down and cash will increase. So this won't be having any impact on the quick assets. This won't be having any impact on the quick assets. So can I say that the ratio will remain unaffected? There won't be any impact. Why? Because my quick assets won't be changing because of that. Next one. Accounting standard which is related to depreciation. Accounting standard which is related to depreciation. AS2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I have seen students making mistakes in this particular question. Those who are not very much updated with the accounting standard related to depreciation, but it's not the case with you guys, right? Accounting standard 10 relates to depreciation. Actually, it relates to property, plant and equipment, but it covers depreciation also. Earlier, we used to have AS6. Now it is merged in AS10 only. So the name of AS10 is not depreciation, it is property, plant and equipment. But the concept of depreciation is included in accounting standard 10 and not accounting standard 6. AS6 is no more. Okay. Next one. Fixed asset held for sale will be classified in the company's balance sheet as what? Current asset, non-current asset, capital WIP, deferred tax asset, none of the above. Now this question is from the ICAI study material. This can come in your examination also, and it can create a lot of confusion. So not all the ICAI study material, ICMAI or ICSI study material questions are relevant for SEBI examination, but only some of them are important. So those things that are already important for your examination, I have already covered it in MCQ series and the regular live classes. So you don't have to worry about that material also. Okay. Yes, very good everyone. Current asset, because it is held for sale. So you now have an intention of selling it. So that's why as per ICI material, you need to calculate, you need to show it at the current asset. Okay. As the current asset. Next one. Under which of the following head machinery under construction be presented in the balance sheet? Now that's a easy one. That's a very easy one. That's capital WIP, right? That's capital WIP. We will show it as capital WIP. Next one. Indian accounting standard Ind AS 109 is related to which of the following items? Is related to which of the following items? Option A, financial instruments. Option B, investment. Option C, fixed assets and property, plant and equipment. Employee benefit or assets held for sale. Can be important for your examination. That's financial instrument, right? And we have studied the basics of financial instruments as well. Next one. Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013 prescribes the format and content of balance sheet, statement of P&L, auditor's report, director's report, both A and B, or all of the above. What do you think? The correct choice here will be Option A, balance sheet and statement of P&L account, right? Acha, answer this question. Just coming in few seconds. Please answer this question. That is 1,45,800, right? 1,45,800. How? This is written down value. You do have the cost of asset 2 lakh. You just have to charge depreciation 10%. Whatever the value is, again 10%. Whatever the WDV is, again 20%. You'll be having the answer. Option B, 1,45,800 is the correct one. Next one. Which of the following transaction is related to, which of the following accounting standard, not transaction, is related to foreign exchange transaction? A very simple one, right? I think जिसने सिलेबस भी पढ़ा है वो भी इसको आंसर कर पाएगा. कभी कभी ऐसे भी क्वेश्चंस आ जाते हैं एग्जाम में. एक बार आया हुआ है ये भी. That's NDS 11. Can you also tell me the corresponding Indian accounting standard for this one? Can you guys also tell me the corresponding Indian accounting standard for this one? Perfect. Next one. Which accounting concept or approach ensures that the financial statements present a true and fair view of the company's financial position? It is your prudence. It is your prudence. Option A here will be the correct choice. Okay, option A here will be the correct choice. Here we are concerned that the assets are not overstated, the liabilities are not understated, and all the expected expenses, future expenses and losses are, we are recording it right now. Next one. Dash is the amount by which the carrying amount of an asset exceeds its recoverable amount, and this is one of the most repeated question in the regulatory body examination. Dash is the amount by which the carrying amount of an asset exceeds its recoverable amount. That's called as an impairment. That's called as an impairment loss. Acha, after my class, please also check out the impairment ka Indian accounting standard. Okay, please check the number and name of the impairment related accounting standard in Indian accounting standard, right? I have mentioned that in the chart that I have given it to you, can be important, right? So here it is, Ind AS 36. When should be the assets be declared as impaired? This question can also come in the examination. They both are similar questions only, just the framing is different. Plus do remember the Indian accounting standard 36, which is related to impairment, right? Which is related to impairment. So when the recoverable amount is less than the carrying amount, then we call that the asset is impaired. I'm carrying something at 1 lakh rupees, but I'm only able to recover 60,000 from it. So can I say that this is impairment loss? This is impairment loss. Okay. So please learn the Ind AS number and name as well for this one. I know that it is not in your course. The Ind AS number, the Ind AS related to impairment of asset is not in your course, but it can be related to your syllabus. Why? Because you have assets, you have fixed assets, you have property, plant and equipment in your syllabus, and the concept of impairment asset is applicable on PPE also. Okay, so they may give you as a kind of, shock wala question, but you must be already prepared. I have already told you, जब मैंने चार्ट दिया था तो वहां पे मैंने impairment वाले asset के ऊपर भी टिक लगाया था, right? वो आपको पढ़ना है. Next one, in the cash flow statement, which of the following is an example of an investing activity? Investing activity. A very simple one, a very straight one. The correct choice here will be purchase of machine, right? Acha, dividend. What about dividend? One thing is dividend payment, or whether you are receiving the dividend. Tell me whether you are paying the dividend, what kind of activity it will be. You are a manufacturing company, you are paying dividend, what kind of activity it will be for you? Payment of dividend. Operating, investing, financing. Operating, investing, financing, payment of dividend. You are paying the dividend, you are a manufacturing firm. Payment of dividend is a financing activity. Receiving the dividend, that means you must have invested in shares of some company, that's why you are receiving it. So it will be investing activity. It will be an investing activity. Okay. So don't just see dividend, see that whether we are receiving the dividend or we are paying the dividend. Okay. Next one. What do you mean by other comprehensive income, OCI? Other comprehensive income. We have discussed this one also in the paid classes, if you remember. Same question. OCI. They can also ask you full form of the OCI in the examination. Option C, right? Unrealized gains or losses usually. So we have statement of comprehensive income. In that we have statement of P&L, and then we have statement of other comprehensive income, which is a concept of Indian accounting standard. The terminology is not in accounting standard. It is a term of Indian accounting standard, right? Next one. Which of the following is a limitation of fund flow statement? Which of the following is a limitation of fund flow statement? Anyone? And the correct choice here will be it cannot determine the cash flow position of the company, right? That's one of the limitation. That's why we prepare the cash flow statement more specifically. Next one, declaration of dividend of the for the current year is made after providing for what? Declaration of dividend for current year is made after providing for what? Now you can say this question is more about company law. 10% of commerce and accounts and 90% of company law. Option B here is the correct one. Depreciation on the assets for the current year and any kind of area of depreciation of the past year, if any, we have to deduct that before the dividend obligation, right? Before the dividend obligation. Next one, the company's working capital is, I think we have done this question, right? In the previous class only I have explained you this question. So this is a repeated question. Apologies for the same. Just give me a second. Aja, tell me this one. Goods costing 60,000 sold to Manish at a profit of 25% on sales. Less trade discount of 5%. You need to calculate the amount to be shown in the sales account. Now do remember this is a trade discount. This is a trade discount, right? So guys, the correct choice here will be 76,000. Why? You need to calculate the amount that will go to sales account. Now try to understand the cost of the goods is 60,000, right? Manish is selling that at a profit margin of 25% on sales. So they have given you the profit margin on sales. On sales. If I say that sales is 100% and I'm selling this product at a profit margin of 25%, can I say that this is equivalent to 75%? This is equivalent to 75%, right? So can I say that my cost is 75%? So 60,000 divided by 75% into 100%. So can I say that that is 60,000 divided by 75%, that is 80,000. This is 80,000. So can I say 80,000 should be my sales, but I am giving a trade discount of 5%. Of 5%. So this will be 76,000. This will be option B, 76,000. Okay. Option B here is the correct answer. Okay. Next one. Ind AS 105 is related to which of the following? Ind AS 105 is related to which of the following? So if you have covered that list that I have given you in the paid classes, you can definitely answer this one as well. It is non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operation, option C. Okay, I can understand that this is not a part of your syllabus, but one or two out of questions can definitely be there in your examination. Every time एक दो question हमेशा ऐसे आते हैं जो आप लोग आंसर नहीं कर पाते हो एग्जाम के अंदर, but no worries at all. We have included some of the Atarangi question as well in your syllabus, in your paid course, in the MCQ questions, जिससे आपका वो वाला चांस भी थोड़ा सा बढ़ सकता है कि आप आउट ऑफ कोर्स वाले क्वेश्चंस को भी अटेम्प्ट कर पाओ.